Hi, I'm Trevor, and welcome to Catching Up on Cinema. Now, if you aren't familiar with the program, Catching Up on Cinema is a film analysis podcast wherein we introduce each other to films, expand our cinematic horizons, and, in essence, catch up on our cinema. So it is the month of February 2022, and is once again that very special time of the month wherein we do our very special Tales from the Shelf episode. And in joining me in this endeavor, I have my good buddy Brad from the Cinema Speak podcast. Say hello, Brad.
Thanks for having me again, Trevor. This will be a fun time.
Oh, always happy to have you, Brad. I'm so happy that I have a buddy that can join me in these endeavors from month to month. This is not easy to do solo, I will tell you that much. But you know what they say, the more the merrier. So this time around, we're very lucky to be joined by a pair of guests, in addition to Brad, in the form of Brian and Michele from the Movies for Life podcast. How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Great. Thanks for having us.
I'm good.
Absolutely. No, I was very excited to talk to both of you because I've been listening to the show for a little while now, and I really enjoy listening to your program. Like, there's just like a certain warmth that comes with the conversations you two have, and there's
I love that.
There's an enthusiasm and a warmth that can only come through like true friendship and talking about movies and whatnot. And on top of that, some of the picks you've had from month to month have been
I know.
pretty fucking stellar.
Yeah.
In particular, I quite enjoyed the Child's Play episode, the 1 and 2 episode.
I've had a couple people bring that one up lately. That's really cool. Those are her favorites.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah.
Well, and it shone through the discussion. Like, you could tell that one of, if not both of the parties involved is really into these movies. So it was a good listen.
I like them too, but they're just not as personal to me as they are to her. But
yeah,
boy, those were fun though. That was a lot of fun to do that one.
Okay. Well, as I said, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. This is this is an interesting experiment in expanding the program a little bit. And what's more, from what I understand, the both of you, I can certainly tell from looking at the backgrounds of your webcam feeds here, it seems like movie collections in particular, are something that both of you happen to have. This program serves as a showcase for exactly that. So it seems like we have a good group here for talking about movies.
They're not in this particular room, but there are 4 bookshelves in my living room with all my movies on them. So.
4.
Yeah.
Brad, how many shelves you got?
I don't like discussing numbers. That's too personal.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. But you got me beat, that's for sure.
I have the horror movies in here, and then I've got the rest out in our media room, I guess you could call it.
Oh, media room. Okay.
What you striking? Media room.
There's a room with a TV in it. Okay, that's about as media room as it gets. So.
Okay. Well, I don't exactly know what to call this month's episode. We've been pretty keen on like alliterative titles from month to month, but I don't really have one off the cuff here, so I'll probably have to fix it in post. But folks at home, if you're not familiar with the show format, essentially what we're going to do here is just do a little show and tell with movies from our respective collections. So we're just going to rotate through the group here and just do a little exhibition of some of the, I guess the theme that we decided on before we started recording is like interesting or like editions to be proud of, like cool editions of movies that you have in your collection. So, being as
extremely excellent editions, I said that really, really wrong.
Extremely
excellent editions.
There you go.
Sure, we'll go with that. Why not?
Pretty terrible.
Ones that went the extra mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
To bring something cool.
Well, this will be interesting because Brad and I did box sets not too long ago, so I'm hoping he and I have some new stuff to show off. I tried my best to like dig through my memory and pull some new shit out my ass, but we'll see what we get today. But anyway, being as we have some new guests joining us this month, Brian, Michele, either one of you want to start us off with your first pick?
Brian will.
Yeah.
Way to go, buddy.
It's
Just
me.
throw him under the bus.
All good. So
it's kind of my job.
It is. But that's fine. So anyway, I have DVDs and I have Blu-rays and I have a couple 4Ks. But the some of the coolest editions came out on DVD, and they just don't do the same kinds of things for Blu-ray as they did for DVD. Sort of when it was a king of the formats, right? So back in 2005, I got this really nifty edition of King Kong. Okay, so this has got this amazing. It comes in this awesome tin. First of all, you pop it open, and it has, the digipack thing going on. So let's see here. Yeah, and it's got the movie on one, and then of course all the special features. Some of them are kind of cool. Massive documentary on the making of it. It also has Peter Jackson's recreation of the lost spider pit sequence, which is pretty fun. So I mean, they did it all stop motion and everything, and while they were making the Peter Jackson King Kong as well. So this edition is probably 2004, 2005 to coincide with that. But it's got a reproduction of the original program from Grauman's Chinese Theater from its premiere. Cool. That's pretty nifty. Wow. It came with a set of postcards of various forms of the poster. And there's actually a second set of those here. Sorry. There's a lot more in here than I remembered. So it's got a bunch of stuff. And if you look over my shoulder here, you'll see the King Kong poster. It's just the same as the cover I showed here. But that was a special order with this edition. You could send out for it. And that's not all even. That's why this is one of my favorite sets ever. Is on top of all that, this also came with Son of Kong, which is not great. Yeah. But it's fun. And Mighty Joe Young, which is good.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is early work of why can't I think?
Willis O'Brien?
No, the other one.
Ray Harryhausen?
Ray Harryhausen. Oh my gosh. Take away my horror card for that one. Okay, but anyway.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, so you had Willis O'Brien and Ray Harryhausen working together on that, which is pretty cool. So that edition, man, this is nifty, I think. I still love this. And, one of these days I'm going to write about that movie, and, we'll see how that goes.
I mean, that is quite a undertaking for sure. I bet that's intimidating just to think about. Like, oh no, like what if I leave something out? Yeah. But
I always do, and I always get told about it in the comments. So
Never read the comments.
No, I don't. But I'm sure I was like, you forgot this or that. It's like, yeah, I know.
Probably.
Well, the important thing to remember is that it doesn't exist unless you do it. So even if it's put out there in an imperfect form, it's now out there. Good. Yeah, it's all good.
And I got paid, so who cares? Yeah. So
that's really incredible. That's the but wait, there's more edition of King Kong.
I like
that. So that was one of those that when that came out, it was like, okay, I gotta have that because that's pretty awesome. So
I've never actually seen the original King Kong.
Is that a future episode, Brian?
We'll see. Hey, we could do that in a remakes episode.
That's true.
But of course, we would have to, and maybe the 1976 King Kong, which I also got this new Scream Factory edition of that.
I know you like that one.
Which is a bad movie, but it is. I love it dearly. It's one of those.
Him blowing on her to drive her off.
It's interesting.
It's like, well, when you think about the craftsmanship that went into the animatronics of the cheeks, like the bellows cheeks, it's like they really put a lot of money and time and effort into that horrible idea.
They really did. Yeah. But there's something about that 76 version that I don't know. I've always kind of loved it. It's probably pure nostalgia because, it's the first one I saw. It was the first time, and the Kong costume's pretty good. And there's some cool stuff in it, but the original, and I really like the Peter Jackson one too, actually. So I've got a soft spot for that big dumb monkey. So anyway.
Yeah, that's a pretty incredible set you got there. I mean, how did everything fit in that case? I mean, you just kept pulling more and more out. It was like a magician's hat.
Well, technically, this is just one thing, and then the other two movies are separate.
Gotcha.
So they were like packaged together in a bigger box, but I no longer have that bigger box.
Okay.
So yeah.
It suffered the same fate as many a Super Nintendo game box. It's like, oh no, that would be valuable down the road.
I had it for a long time, and then there was no point anymore. So
no. Well, no, that's really incredible. Thanks for sharing that. But
absolutely.
How you want to do this? You want to go counterclockwise, clockwise? Michele, I'm giving you an out here.
I don't care. I'm good now.
Okay. Well, here, go ahead and take the reins then.
Well, since we just talked about it, I might as well do this one first. There was one thing that I pre-ordered, like the second I heard about it, was the Scream Factory edition of Child's Play. The super limited edition was not just this, though. It also came with, the posters are behind me. It's like, there's a poster of this and of like a good guy, looks like the outside of a good guy box. So it came with two posters and this guy right here. How cute is he?
That made me think of something else. What do you know?
I have another one. I have like a stuffed one that's from Child's Play 2.
Oh.
But this one is actually, you can't really see his face. He looks a lot better. It's actually pretty accurate to how he looks in the first couple of movies.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's adorable. So, and I love this edition. The movie looks beautiful, and there's some great special features. Like one of my favorite features, I talked about it on the episode where we talked about Child's Play and Child's Play 2, was just like an hour-long special about how behind the scenes of them like working with the doll and the mechanics of it. Yeah, they did an awesome job with my favorite horror movie. So, of course, I had to include this because this is one of my prized possessions. To have a wonderful edition of your favorite movie. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Like, so you guys did a double feature talking about both Child's Play and Child's Play 2, like in the same episode. And like personally, like I don't know, like maybe it's because I've seen it more, but like I always really enjoyed the second one in particular, just because of how audacious it is and how over the top it gets, especially in its final act. But even in terms of like cinematography and whatnot, even basic dialogue scenes have kind of like a overlit kind of like otherworldly kind of vibe to them. They do a lot of interesting stuff with like the height of the camera and whatnot, and maintaining kind of like the child's perspective, because like it makes things that ordinarily like conversations between adults, it makes things like that this would be seemingly innocuous seem like somehow intimidating, being shot from the perspective of a child who's not in that group or something, or somehow outside of that. But Michele, like in this moment as we're talking, like is Child's Play 1 the favorite? Is that the favorite between the two?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. That episode was because Child's Play really should have been on my list of our top. We did our list of 5 like forever favorite movies, like just your top 5 ones that will always be your favorites, like no matter what else changes. Like I don't know why I didn't include Child's Play in that original list because it's been in my life like forever, and I adore it still to this day. So we did a special episode to cover it, and Brian's favorite of the series is the second one, and I love it just as much too. So that's why we decided to do that episode like that, and because I had never gotten a chance to talk about Child's Play before, and it's my favorite movie. So. Well,
that worked out beautifully then. But Brad likes to do lists. This is one thing that I certainly know about Brad. Brad loves him.
It's the only reason I do anything is just to make lists out of it.
But I'm curious, Brad, have you ever done that? Have you ever put together like a forever favorite, like top 5 for you?
No, I don't think I've ever done anything like that. I was reminded, I don't know where I put it, but I did do a top 10 Scream Factory releases, and I know I put that that Child's Play Blu-ray somewhere. I don't remember where. It was in the top 10 because that is a great release, and I even like the artwork on it. Like some of Scream Factory's artwork can be a little like a little busy, but I don't know. That one's nice. It's a nice new commissioned artwork. I really like that release.
Because it's like giant Chucky, and it's like he's like looking over the house where it's good concept art for it.
Yeah.
Well, even the shading and the color palette has a grime to it that fits that movie in particular. Because like the first one's pretty like dingy. Like it has a mean quality to some of those like street sequences and whatnot.
Sure,
the second one's a little brighter, not more friendly, just the color palette's more expanded.
It's more colorful, yeah.
But yeah, the cover for that one seems to jive with that really well. But Brad, pick is to you, sir. What do you got for us?
All right. Well, I wasn't going to lead with this one, and I'll be honest, I didn't. There was no like thinking behind this pick other than I was like, oh, what's some cool additions? So I didn't even actually pick this knowing that you guys were going to be on this episode. It just kind of happened this way. I've got the Arrow 4K release of Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, which just came out, I don't know. Like,
it may or may not be in his file.
It's not the 4K.
Hey, well, I mean, it's basically, I think it's almost exactly the same release. This
I know. That's why I didn't upgrade it, but yeah.
And honestly, yeah, it's a pretty minimal upgrade. I didn't already have the Blu-ray. Yeah. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have upgraded. But yeah, it's not my favorite Wes Craven film by any stretch, but it's definitely very influential, early, just grimy 70s horror film. And I mean, some of the stuff that's included in this limited edition, I mean, I don't want to flaunt this 4K limited edition in front of you here, but you got the release, and we got a nice little I think it's like one of their Arrow's 40-page booklets here. You got some essays in here, some pictures and some words, all very nice stuff. You got a poster.
Some words.
I'll unroll the poster. Why not? We're getting crazy tonight.
So the Blu-ray edition does not have all the cool stuff. It's pretty much just the disc.
Yeah.
So, but it does have lots of nifty special features on it. So.
Yeah. It's a good release, and I'll tell you this. Sure, your release might not have the poster or the booklet, but if it makes you feel any better, I haven't read anything out of the booklet, and the poster's not being used at all. So basically, I've got the same exact release as you.
Pretty much. Well, you, however, have the Arrow release of The Hills Have Eyes Part 2.
I do not have Part 2, so you beat me there. You've got me beat there.
Which does have the poster and a lot of the same kinds of stuff that you're talking about with Hills Have Eyes Part 1. Movie sucks, but man. You know what? Actually, I take that back. I actually like this better than I remembered.
Really?
Yes, there's a dog flashback. The dog flashback is sort of sublime and sort of a joke, but it's kind of just sort of a nifty slasher movie. It's not The Hills Have Eyes, but it's not a dumpster fire either, in my opinion, as much as Wes thought it was. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually never seen Part 2, but mostly just because I've heard mostly bad things about it. But I'm curious to pick it up because I own this one, and the releases go nicely together.
They do.
But I love Arrow's box. Like when you get the limited edition with the box, just amazing. I love it.
Absolutely.
Might be some of those coming up.
Oh, okay. Wow, this
Michele is an Arrow stan.
I love Arrow,
as the kids say, right?
Yep.
Arrow is probably my favorite label.
Really? Wow. See, I only have like maybe 2 or 3 discs of theirs. I appreciate what I have, but I just don't have a huge amount of their catalog on my shelf. But I'm thinking there's a couple more titles in particular that I should definitely reach out and grab. But Brad, what's your Arrow situation like?
I really like Arrow. I don't have as many Arrow titles as I would have thought. because I recently separated all my Blu-rays by distributor, so I can just look over and just see how many I got.
Nice.
But I love Arrow. I don't know why I don't have as many as I'd like. I don't know if it's just like, I feel like with like Vinegar Syndrome and Criterion, I like how they have like every like what we would be like a biannual or like twice a year sale, and it's always the exact same time, so you know when you're going to stock up on those titles. Arrow, their sales are a little more all over the place. You never know exactly when they're going to happen. So I never know. Like I think the last sale they had, I just splurged on a bunch of other Blu-rays, and so I didn't pick up anything in the last sale. But I do love Arrow. I wish I had more of their titles.
I think it for me, it's a lot of it's just bad timing, honestly, because they have some wonderful films in their catalog. It's just the time of the releases tends to come a little late for me, where it's like these are things that I already have, and they're oftentimes things that I know like the back of my hand, so I'm not in the biggest of hurry to upgrade like right fucking now. Because like Tremors, it's like I already have a Blu-ray of it. It's not an amazing Blu-ray, but it's a Blu-ray. And RoboCop, Brad's been teasing me about the fact that I am gonna double dip on that shit. Because I did get the Arrow Blu-ray, and the 4K is now coming out. It's like, fuck. Like,
I have the Steelbook, the Arrow RoboCop Steelbook. It's pretty cool.
I'm going to get that for sure.
So, do you mind if I piggyback on Brad's real quick?
Absolutely.
This is super quick. I just wanted to say this was actually one of my picks, The Last House on the Left. But since we were talking about Hills Have Eyes already, might as well pair them up here. So this is the Arrow edition, super nice special edition, 3 discs of all sorts of different cuts of the movie, and this is the ultimate edition of The Last House on the Left, a movie that I have owned but rarely watch. This is a damn good edition, though. Yeah. And so, anyway, so just because it's so connected to The Hills Have Eyes, I just thought I'd throw that out real quick.
Let me ask you. You said it's it's a movie that you rarely watch, and I understand.
I've watched it more recently than I expected to because I wrote some articles.
Have you watched the Arrow disc?
Yes.
Okay.
I've watched it twice.
You're better than me because I've spent $30 on that and I haven't watched it once.
Well,
I don't think I have either.
I wrote a series on Wes Craven, and so it was imperative that I rewatch The Last House on the Left, which is not an easy watch at all for lots of reasons.
Right.
There's the subject matter but it's a pretty damn uneven film. And it's a tough movie. Some of the acting is less than great. It cuts weird, all sorts of things. But thematically, it's so key to Craven's work. But yeah, I have, and I've watched a lot of the special features on it too. I've only watched the longest cut. I haven't watched the shorter ones. I haven't watched like the Krug and Company cut, which is shorter, like the edited down version that, was censored down to this, sort of movies, but they're all on there for some reason. It's just sort of like every version of the film they could find is on that disc. And it's sort of like, okay, cool. Let's do this thing,
That's cool though.
And I love that they did that. Just to have those options and comparisons. So,
yeah, kind of random, and not to get us back talking about that big dumb monkey again, but the 1976 King Kong. Does the Scream Factory have the television cut?
It does.
I tried to watch that, and I was like, I can't find anything worthwhile. Like this is just padded.
It just kind of has more of the electronic, like giant animatronic ape, mechanical ape that does not look good at all.
Yeah,
and was sort of thankfully cut down in the theatrical release. So.
Yeah, there's certainly differences, but I tried to watch it like keeping an eagle eye out for like important differences, and very few of them were like, I think Charles Grodin's character has a slightly different demise, but it's like this much difference. But anyway, Brad, why did you pick that one in particular? Was it mostly aesthetics, or is it like on your mind lately or something?
Yeah, it was, I think the 4K came out within the last 4 or 5 months or whatever, so it was kind of on my mind, and, I was looking at my Arrow titles, my 4K titles, and I've got 2 Arrow 4K titles. I also have their release of David Lynch's Dune, but that one, very controversial. They cut some of the promised bonus features, and I said, you know what? Because you cut that feature-length making-of documentary from the disc that they originally had intended to have on there, I said, we can't include that one. We got to go with Hills Have Eyes. So I guess that's kind of why I decided on that one.
Well, it's a really handsome package. I mean, damn, that's very impressive. That's good for a display piece and decent movie on top of that. But
Hills Have Eyes is actually top 5 Craven for me. I
really?
like it that much. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, folks at home, I don't know if you're able to see or if you didn't notice or not, but both of our esteemed guests here, aside from Brad, are wearing Directed by Wes Craven t-shirts. So if there's a theme among the picks for today, there's a reason why.
That was the only one.
There isn't actually. Yeah, I don't have that, unfortunately.
Okay.
I thought about the Hills
and the only reason
I have that one too.
Yeah. So, and it was total coincidence that we happened to be wearing the same shirt.
I think it's fitting. It shows unity. Like on the part of our co-hosts. Yeah, exactly. So I suppose the pick is to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my damn show, so I'm going to cheat, because that's what I do. Brad's very
Hey, I already have, and I'm a guest, so.
Well, that's the thing. Tales from the Shelf it's Thunderdome rules. Like, it's
excellent.
Not so much two go in, one leaves. It's more just there are no rules. It's Calvin Ball.
Nice.
So I have here a trio of films, but they're all related, and they're all directed by the same person. And these are on DVD. So Brad's about to get out his barf bag. You two wouldn't know this, but Brad is not especially a fan of the DVD format. Although the packaging, like the dimensions of the boxes and whatnot, I would assume, Brad, you can appreciate the aesthetics of a DVD package, correct? He's making a face that's telling me no. No exceptions.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just get to it then. So I have here Patlabor, the movie. And this is a big old hard box. It's a limited.
What is
that? Patlabor, the movie. This is a Japanese animated film. It's directed by Mamoru Oshii, who is the director of Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, okay.
Among many other films. This is kind of it started out as like a television series that was his baby, and it became like a series of direct-to-video films, and then a series of theatrical films. They made 3 of them, and this package is absolutely incredible. It's numbered. This is number 6,741 out of 10,000, but we have here like a production guide booklet, collector's edition packaging, storyboards, like the entire animated film in storyboard, all contained in this gigantic booklet here. Like every shot in the movie is cataloged here. And it's an animated film, so it's incredibly precise. And then it's multiple discs. I think there's a whole bunch of making of features, again, for an animated film in the pre-computer age. So very, very fascinating stuff for me in particular. Not everybody's cup of tea, but this is the kind of stuff that just like, I'm all about it. And in addition to that, I also have Patlabor 2, the movie. It's the same style of packaging, also the full storyboard, the collector's edition, an entire small booklet just about the making of that. See here, has full color art and basically details reference photos that were used for the painting of backgrounds, and all the line art for the character and model designs and whatnot. Very comprehensive. And then, curiously enough, though, and this is another thing that might set Brad off, we have a deviation from the packaging for the 3rd film, Patlabor 3. It's labeled Ultimate Edition, whereas these ones are the collector's editions. And it has a series of supplemental discs, but no booklets. This also includes these little like puppet sketches where they take this like ultra serious movie and take the characters and like have them act out like playful like I don't know, Punch and Judy sketches and whatnot. It's truly bizarre. You never would have expected that, but It does come with like full supplements for the making of. It's at least 3 discs. And what's more, all 3 of these movies are pretty fucking good. In particular, like, I don't know, they have a certain vibe. His work, Mamoru Oshii, his work has a certain vibe to it that is very, very unique. If you're into people having long philosophical discussions in cars while not looking at each other, he'll work for you. If you're into like tech porn in hand-drawn animation, that'll work as well. And also the score for all 3 films, and most of his filmography, in fact, is done by Kenji Kawai, who's like a personal favorite of mine.
Okay, so I'm trying to spread the horror out a little bit because I feel like my best editions are horror, but this is a horror movie. This is the most I ever spent on a blind buy. It's for the Mondo Macabro edition of Andrzej Zawalski's Possession. And now it's we talked about this beforehand too. So this is for those
I
of
saw
you.
the plastic on it though.
You do.
Does yours still have the plastic?
No, because I've actually watched it.
You can take it off.
This is the most aggro version of the show we've ever had, by the way.
Oh, mine
It just keeps it nice. See, it just. Oh,
I didn't know it was possible to flick people in the nuts through a webcam, but it keeps happening
all the time.
I do that all the time to Brian.
So again, there's just lots of nice information in the booklet. For those of you who do not know what this movie is, it's Andrzej Zawalski is a Polish director. Was a Polish director. He's passed away, but this was his first English language film, maybe his only English language film.
I don't know.
It stars Sam Neill of Jurassic Park fame, and In the Mouth of Madness, of course, among many others, and Isabella Gianni. And it's sometimes kind of compared to like Cronenberg's The Brood, because it's about a marriage falling apart is essentially what it is. But there's also sex with a monster and all sorts of wild stuff in it. An octopus, right? That's what the terminology he used. Has anyone besides Michele seen this?
I know it by reputation. I have not seen it, but my regular co-host Kyle, he actually just purchased, I think, that very edition at a Scarecrow Video very recently.
Yeah, so this has some nice features on it, some nice interviews with, particularly with Zawalski, but a little bit on the making, a little insight into it. And it's not like a stacked edition that's got tons and tons of stuff in it, but what is there is really, really good. And really informative, because it's a kind of a dense movie. It's a tough movie to really entirely understand, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I write for Bloody Disgusting, and I happened to pitch a piece on Possession, and then I was like, oh shit, now I have to write this. Because it's
usually
a
how
tough
it works,
movie.
Brian.
It is. I know. It's a tough, dense movie, but it's incredible though. I mean, it's really powerful. It's very strange. Has some of the very iconic moments in it. And bring us back to King Kong. The creature was designed by Carlo Rambaldi, who designed King Kong and E.T. and lots of these kinds of creature effects that are very well known today. And it's a really fascinating movie, and I bring it up because, frankly, I feel like more people should see it and maybe even take a risk on it, even though it is a little pricey. Because it's if you love horror, it's it's a masterpiece. It's one of those that is very high on my list of movies that just kind of it floored me how good it was, and at the same time I was like, I don't entirely grasp what's going on here. It's really right. I mean, Michele. I mean,
yeah. I saw it like a couple of days before. Elric Kane is a huge fan of it, and we were going to be at the same convention. So I actually watched it for the first time a couple of days before I saw him there, and he was wearing his Possession shirt. And when I talked to him, and he was like, "So what did you think of it?" And I was like, "I need to watch it again." That's like the only thing I could think of. And he was just like, "Yeah, I get that," because it's too much the first time around. Like I didn't quite get it, and that was like years ago. So I do need to break this out and watch it again.
You know, what is interesting about that movie, though, is just from a format point of view, it did have like a 4K restoration recently and has had some big screen engagements. So I wouldn't be surprised if it actually is on its way to 4K. And maybe not from Mondo, maybe from somewhere that's going to be, who knows, maybe it'll be Severin or Vinegar Syndrome or someone like that. I mean, who knows?
You can't beat this packaging, though.
I know, the packaging's incredible.
That's nice.
It's cool.
And the design of the poster art there is really...
It's got boobs on it. Come on. What?
That's true. It does.
The resale value.
Yeah, that's right. And it might be nice to see an edition that has both this version and like the hacked to death American cut on it. Might be interesting.
I'd be interested to see that.
I'd be interested just to see it. I hear it's incomprehensible.
That's why I want to see it.
Which with Possession, who knows? But it's but it's really it's one of those editions. It's just sort of a prized addition to my collection, to be honest, because it's just kind of one that a lot of people are like, I have no idea what that is, but also it's at the same time, it's one of those deep cuts or deeper cuts. It's gotten a lot more traction now because of, people championing it at various levels of notoriety. Right. But, but is really, really damn good, and I don't know if a lot of people will necessarily get it or like it, but it's a fascinating movie. I mean, if you're into movies, I think you'd be interested in a movie like that. So anyway.
Yep.
No, it's on my to-do list. I'm actually very excited that, like I said, my co-host recently bought it. So at some point he's probably going to come a knocking and be like, Trevor, you gotta watch this. It's like, why? It's fucked up. It's like, okay, let's give
this
it a
is
whirl.
True. It is.
This is true.
It definitely is.
No, but its reputation has grown quite a bit over the years. Like it does pop up on a lot of lists that have caught my eye over the years, such that it's like I'm keenly aware that I should watch it. But I think, as I mentioned before we started recording, I'm too busy watching Scott Adkins kick people.
It's a valid reason.
So
okay.
my priorities are all sorts of fucked. But by the way, Brad, do we need to do another backlog boogie like sometime soon?
I mean, my backlog just continues to grow. So I mean, I'm down anytime.
Yeah. Michele, Brian, we did an episode of Tales from the Shelf where it was called the Backlog Boogie, and basically we, instead of like hand picking things, we just grabbed whatever was in the to watch pile.
To watch pile,
or recent acquisitions that probably should have been watched a while ago, but just for whatever reason have
lots of those.
I have a whole shelf of those. Yeah.
Well, whenever we have you back, maybe that's on the docket.
It may not be a bad idea.
That'd be super easy to do.
Some
Just
to actually go watch.
Grab the whole shelf.
And 8 hours later, nobody wanted to watch any more movies ever.
That's right. I don't want to watch a movie ever again.
You're not a collector if you don't watch the movies that you buy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it comes with the territory. If you collect movies, you are going to fall behind at some point. Yeah. But
it happens. Yeah.
It is what it is. But anyway, that fantastic pick. That's so awesome that both of you have that one. But I guess the pick is to you, Michele. What's your next one?
The next one is not really for aesthetic purposes, but just what's in it is very cool, and I don't think a lot of people maybe know about this. This is the Psycho, the complete collection of it's got Psycho, or the original Psycho, and 1, 2, 3, 4. It also has the remake, so yeah, whatever.
The Van Zandt one?
Yes.
That's the only one that I'm like, yeah.
But it also has the 1987 TV movie Bates Motel.
Oh, cool.
And so this
Which I've
is
never
in
seen, so
yeah.
I haven't seen.
I don't think I've watched it yet, honestly. So I mean, it's nothing super cool about it. It's just this like this. Oh, and also has the Psycho Legacy documentary that somebody I know worked on.
Wondering
yeah,
where I saw that before, because I've been trying to track that down again. Yeah.
But this is like came out through an Australian company. I'm not for sure. It says Via Vision on it, and like so I actually ordered it from Australia, so it took forever to get here, but it was totally worth it. And like a lot of stuff from Australia, like Umbrella is another company that's got some really good stuff. I have a couple of theirs. Like I have the Night of the Creeps, the Night of the Living Dead 90 version, and Road Games. They all say that they're region B locked, but they're not actually. So it says that it's B, but it does work in America. So
yeah, there's a edition of Possession through Umbrella, I think, that has that deal with the region B on the back of the box.
So yeah, I'm gonna say this is something.
So it might be less expensive through them.
I would imagine.
I don't remember even this being that expensive. Even ordering it, from Australia, it wasn't. I don't think it was only like $30 for this, and you get 6 movies and a documentary.
You get Psycho 3.
I guess I could.
And you know how much I love Psycho 3. I love Psycho 3, and I'm not joking. I love Psycho 3.
I kind of like them all.
That's the one with Jeff Fahey.
Yeah, it's bonkers, but it's delightfully bonkers.
Yeah.
I kind of like them all. So that's just for anybody. If you want the entire collection, seek this out. This is really good.
Yeah.
And you have them all one compact little thing here. Like I said, there's nothing really. There's special features for mostly Psycho 2 and 3. So the special features aren't really that great, but it's worth it just to have all the movies in one place.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that documentary, but that sounds really fascinating to me. Like that in particular sounds really fascinating to me. But Michelle, do you have any like particular affinity for the franchise, or like what made you pick that one?
I don't know, because I don't think a lot of people know about it, and it's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, I love the Psycho movies. Yeah, I mean, I do love the Psycho movies. So, yeah, I love them all.
The thing about Psycho, everyone knows that the first one is a masterpiece.
Sure.
But 2 and 3 especially.
2 is amazing.
Are really good. Especially, 2, let's face it, 2 is better than 3. But but 4 has its moments.
I think
too. So. Yeah. Even that, but those sequels, especially 2 and 3, I think are really, really strong horror movies. And Anthony Perkins playing Norman Bates in all of them is really, really good. I think 2, his performance in 2 is just mind-blowing how good he's handling that role after, 20 years away from it. And I really dig those sequels. So, I think people need to give them a chance. I think, the people, a lot of people, well, they're not as good as the original. It's like, well, what is?
What is going to be, right?
What is?
The fact that they could do a sequel 20-something years later to Psycho, one of the greatest horror movies ever, and it be really fucking good.
Yeah. Didn't Anthony Perkins direct the third one as well?
He did.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah, like warts and all. But, it's like...
Warts and all, yeah.
Oh,
but I
think
that one has some great visual style.
Absolutely,
he was really into Blood Simple, and he saw that movie and was like, I want to make a movie that's sort of like the neo noir version of Psycho, and there's one of the best suspense sequences in the entire series in Psycho 3 where there's a body in the ice in the ice chest,
Mm-hmm.
and the cop keeps reaching in and grabbing ice out of it, and he's got blood on on his face because he's picking up ice cubes that have blood on them. It's just, there's lots of great stuff in those sequels, and I think if you've just written off the sequels entirely, give them a try, because they've got some cool stuff in them.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anyone to be familiar. Like, I certainly am not. But wasn't there like a TV series fairly recently?
I loved,
Bates Motel was.
Okay.
I loved Bates Motel. Yeah,
it was good.
Okay. See, I didn't know if it was good or not. I seem to recall it existing.
Yeah, I was especially enthralled with the first season. It took me a little while to get through the rest of it, but it was good. It was really good all the way through.
It had a good ending to it, yeah.
Yeah, the ending was wild, yeah. The ending was wild.
Was Vera Farmiga in that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Very cool. Well, that's a really neat collection. And what was the name of the people who printed the disc?
Via Vision?
Yeah.
It's got three names on it. It's got Universal, Via Vision, and something called Madman on it. So.
Sure. Whatever. It looks nice.
Look for this picture.
I've seen that one around, yeah.
Okay. Well, Brad, pick us to you, sir. What you got next?
All right. I guess for this one, I'll take a slight detour away from horror, even though most of what I have is horror as well. But
Okay,
I'll pull out one just so Trevor's not the only one pulling out non-horror titles here.
I've got the rest of my stuff is not. So.
Oh, there we go. Well, maybe I'll pull out a horror. No, I'll keep with this. So, Criterion, pretty much any Criterion release is going to be pretty solid. We can go on and on about how embarrassing it is, how long it took them to get into the 4K game. What an absolute embarrassment it is that Kino is re-releasing all these titles that Criterion put out, and Kino's putting out on 4K. We can go on and on about that, but we won't. I'll just mention that they did just recently start putting out 4Ks. I've only got one Criterion 4K. I hope to buy more. I'm probably going to buy a lot more in the next sale, but I did pick up in the last sale. I bought Menace to Society, which I'd never seen before. It was a blind buy. It was a blind Criterion 4K buy. And I gotta say, it's a really good film. It is, a very much just like a gritty kind of life on the streets sort of drama, almost plotless in a way. Certainly I wouldn't call it a hangout film, but there's not much in the way of plot. It's just kind of like, I don't know if it takes place over like a summer or the length of time it covers, but it's following just this group of characters, going through their lives and the drama and the adversities they face. On the streets of, I can't remember if I think it is Los Angeles. And yeah, it's well acted. It's very intense and looks great. Great release from Criterion. It took them a while, but they're in the 4K game finally. I love this cover, how it comes out like that.
That is nice.
Looks great. And I haven't gotten into any of the bonus features yet, but picture quality, it took them a while, but they lived up to the challenge, I guess. So I also love it. Looks like you got the bullet holes in the background there. Like,
oh, cool.
That is cool.
That's a nice piece of that's some nice packaging there. But yeah. So it's a very intense, very solid film.
Now tell me, Brad, how long did that sit on the shelf before you watched it? Was that like a ASAP kind of situation because you wanted to check out the 4K quality?
Honestly, yeah. I don't want to say I didn't care about watching the film, but I was more like, I got to see what Criterion's bringing here. So it was more, I didn't buy the Citizen Kane 4K because of the botched Blu-ray situation. And I already own Mulholland Drive on Blu-ray, so I didn't want to double dip. So this was the one I went with, and so I popped it in pretty quickly after I got it. And it worked out that the film was good. So,
yeah,
very cool. Yeah, I actually haven't experienced a Criterion 4K as of yet, so that's we're off to a good start. It sounds like.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah, I have one. I got the Red Shoes on 4K and I had it on Blu-ray, and I was like, I need this on 4K. So Michele now has my Blu-ray, and and I have the 4K. I haven't actually had a chance to watch it yet, though.
Yeah.
But I'm that was one that I was willing to double dip. I've had that Blu-ray. That Blu-ray came out a long time ago, but I was like, I don't know if I need an upgrade, but I want one for that movie because that, as far as visuals go, I mean, come on. I mean, that's one of the ultimate visual feasts of a movie. So.
Yeah, when they were announcing their 4K releases and upgrades, I mean, that one was kind of a no-brainer. Like, yeah of course they're going to release that on 4K. That's one I plan on picking up, hopefully, in the next sale.
Yeah, my brother got me the Uncut Gems 4K as a gift.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But I have yet to crack that open because backlog. It doesn't go any further than that. There's no real reason.
Pretty much.
I'll just get to it when I get to it.
Still haven't seen that movie.
It's tense. That's for
that's
sure.
what I hear.
It's very stressful. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
very
that's
stressful.
what I hear. Which is this is probably why I haven't watched it because I'm just like I don't know if I want to put myself through that today. My job is stressful enough.
Yeah. You got to be in the right state of mind for that one. In my case, I had external pressure in the form of Brad asking me to go watch it, to review it for his show, the Cinema Speak podcast.
Nice.
So I actually went out to the theater to watch that. I hadn't planned on it, but that's what Brad picked, and Brad gets what Brad wants.
You didn't even know me. I forced you. It was our first time doing anything together.
Well, yeah, I was like, I don't even know this guy, but I feel this weird pressure. I got to impress him.
We're reviewing Uncut Gems, whether you like it or not.
Had to explain to the girlfriend. It's like, you don't understand. This stranger from the internet has expectations of me. But very nice, though, Brad. Very nice. I haven't seen that movie, by the way, Menace to Society, but you have been talking it up since you got that 4K, though, so it's on my to-do list, right alongside Possession, I guess.
Yeah, put it on the list.
Yeah, just throw it on the pile. We'll get to it when we get to it. Okay, so I guess the pick is to me. So I am so sorry, Brad. So many DVDs. Just the boxes are slightly taller. They give you more options. Okay, so everybody keeps trotting out like highbrow shit, so I gotta be the spoiler and bring out some garbage. So I have here.
Love garbage.
Steady diet of garbage over here. I have a 6-disc collector's edition box set. That I have shown on the show before. I don't know if it was when we were recording video yet, though, so hopefully this isn't too redundant, but I have here a box set of Kamen Rider V3, which is a Japanese television program from 1973, I believe, or 74. This is put out by Generation Kikaida, which is based in the Hawaiian Islands, where a good half of my family are from.
Okay.
And I went to a department store they have there that they had this on the shelf, and I was like, yes. It's like, I will buy that grossly overpriced DVD because I'm into that shit. But like I was really impressed by the production quality of this, and it was really charming being able to buy something while I was visiting family, like from like a disc actually printed on the island. And it's really well put together, actually. Like, this is the entire television series. It's officially licensed by Toei, which is the production company which made the show. It's like big fold-out package, has all sorts of supplemental features, including like convention footage of the original Japanese cast doing like convention shows in Hawaii. And they have like English subtitled interviews with like the local news crews in Hawaii, like interviewing the actors and whatnot. Kamen Rider is like an institution in Japan. Like, it started, I think, in like 1971 or 1972, and it persists to this day. Very similar to like Ultraman or Godzilla, or to a lesser extent like Gamera. But this is a television series. This was the second iteration of it. And it's fantastic. Like, if you're in the mood for some like Monster of the Week horseshit, where it's just like stuntmen in rubber monster costumes jumping off of cliffs and kicking each other, and it's 25 minutes of just glorious stupid stunt work in whatever rock quarry they have access to that afternoon.
Nice.
But it's like I said, it's an institution in Japanese television. Like, it's just this ongoing behemoth that will never die. And this was one of the earlier series. It was the second iteration of it, so it was still kind of finding its footing and like finding its identity. It's thoroughly crystallized these days, but at this point they're still kind of innovating as they went along. In fact, the first season of the original series, the lead actor doing a motorcycle stunt like destroyed his leg. So like 10 episodes into what would end up being like a 70 episode plus action heavy series, they had to sub him out for a totally different actor. So it was like a was it a Bewitched situation where it's just like, hang on, isn't that a different guy? Isn't that a different Dick? It's like they took Dick York and they turned him into Dick Sargent. What the hell happened here? But yeah, I was really impressed with this. I watched the whole thing pretty much as soon as I got it. Like, this was when I didn't have that vast of a collection, so I didn't have that much of a backlog. So watching an entire 52 episode television series wasn't the daunting task that it is today. But that's something that I really proudly bear on my shelf, because I don't know, it was really, there was some novelty that came with being able to buy a disc like printed by like some mom and pop down the street. like it was expensive for sure, but I felt really good buying it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it when I finally watched it.
Yeah, nothing better than buying some physical media while you're on vacation, though. I mean, that's just, everybody else is like, oh, let's go see the sights, and you're like, no, there's a local Blu-ray store down the street we gotta go check out.
I mean, that's me every time
would be me.
I find my way over there to visit family and whatnot. There's a secondhand like bookstore that also has a movie department. That I mean, it's Hawaii, so people come and go, and they have to like unload all their shit because they're moving from an island to like the mainland or something. So it's like they don't want to keep anything. And on top of that, there's a huge Japanese population there. So for me, it's like all manner of like art books and magazines and stuff find their way to these like half price books type situations. And for me, it's fucking gold. It's like end up walking away with lots of DVDs and like magazines and stuff. That it's always a lot of fun for me. But cool. Yeah, everybody else is going out looking at clothes and knickknacks and stuff. It's like, fuck that, I got DVDs to buy.
Yeah,
you got your priorities straight.
You're here. So. All right, well, you want to do another round?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, this is going to be a cheat. Okay. These are
gotta warm up for this.
Yeah. These are editions that I have upgraded to another format, but I held on to the older version because the older version is pretty cool too. And this is going to be kind of a schlock and awe situation. I'll start with the awe. I have the out of print Criterion edition of Akira Kurosawa's Ran. Which is my personal favorite Kurosawa film. And boy, this edition is beautiful. And has cool essay booklet, all this stuff. 2-disc edition. All the cool stuff that you're looking for, right? But I also upgraded it to 4K because it's Ron. And you got to see that shit in 4K.
Yeah.
So if you can't see it on the big screen, you got to see it in 4K. So, yeah. And so I was like, there's no way I'm getting rid of this Criterion edition of this anytime soon, because this is, well, first of all, it kind of goes for a pretty penny right now. But I just love that damn movie. And that edition is really nice. Now, the other one, the schlock.
Yes.
George Romero's Day of the Dead. Now, the DVD edition here is just fun.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
That is cool.
This is through Anchor Bay, which was sort of like, the precursor to Scream Factory, right? So you got this little notebook, all these illustrations in it. Your notebook of the dead, if you will.
Cool.
And Bub opens up here, and you got all sorts of stuff going on in here. So this is just fun. But the Blu-ray was on sale from Scream Factory, and it's still in the package. Sorry, it's still in the plastic. I watch this one a lot, but actually, I love this movie. It's just there's always new movies to watch, and I've seen Day of the Dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a great addition, though. Lots of wonderful stuff on this guy. So Day of the Dead, and the Dawn of the Dead Ultimate Edition. That's got which Michelle also has right there. This is DVD. This is not the 4K that just came out, unfortunately. But this has the 3 versions of the film and special features on it.
Looks cool.
I got this at a half price book for $10.
Yeah, I only spent like
Fantastic.
20 on this.
And now it's out
used.
of print and goes for like a shit ton of money.
Yep.
So which is pretty incredible. I was like, oh, hey, what do you know? So anyway, that's my schlock and awe to quote our friend Lindsay. So we've got Akira Kurosawa and George Romero. 2 great directors, just completely different worlds, right? But love them.
Yeah, both geniuses in their own right. But the rights situation, I think, for Dawn of the Dead have been kind of a nightmare over the years.
Terrible. That and Martin have been. Martin is even worse, though. Martin has been so hard to come by. I have it on VHS because I can't get it anywhere else for a reasonable price. So and I finally set up my player so that I can play a VHS tape on and actually watch it. But it's so hopefully I know they're somewhere's doing a 4K edition of Martin.
Yeah, I forget who it is, but I know it's in the works.
Yeah, so they've been announcing that. They've been working on that one for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They keep finding more stuff. Like they found a black and white print of the director's cut or something like that. So they're looking to add that to it all.
Wow.
And so this, whatever that set is probably going to be pretty incredible. It's probably going to be pretty spendy.
There's been a ton of movement with the Romero estate, like in the past 5 years or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's all going to get put out very quickly.
Well, I mean, hell, they got the amusement park out on Shudder. So I mean, that was thought to be lost. I mean, that was just buried forever. So probably everything from Romero is going to eventually be out there. We can hope, because that'd be great.
It's a win-win for us and for his grandkids cashing in on all the money they're making on it.
Well, I mean, because especially after, Night of the Living Dead, essentially he got ripped off for all the profit that movie made.
Yeah.
His family's earned that, I think.
I think so.
Personally.
Yeah. Didn't they make an animated version of that recently through Warner Brothers?
Of Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah. It's like
I would not be surprised.
Night of the Animated Dead, I think is what it's called.
Oh,
really?
I believe it. Well, it's a public domain film.
Yeah.
So anyone can do pretty much anything they want with that movie.
I think it's a Warner Brothers movie though, so I'm picturing it looking like their DC animated universe movie, like Bruce Timm style or something.
That might be really cool.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm down.
But Brad, do you have an edition of Dawn of the Dead in your collection? I would assume so, right?
Yeah, I do have a DVD release of it. It's not that Ultimate Collector's Edition. I don't know what it is. I don't have it with me right now because it's DVD, and I don't have those on hand at the moment. Those are stored away somewhere. I've got it.
Throwing them at zombies. So
yeah. Yeah, I do own the DVD release of it because Trevor, didn't you, me, and Kyle do an episode on that together?
We did. Yeah,
that was the last time I watched it.
Yeah, that may have been like the first proper episode we had you on, but that was a fun one. And I mean, that movie is ripe for discussion. But that brings me to the topic, I guess, like round the horn, like favorite of the Dead movie.
Mine is Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's tough.
Yeah.
You too, Michelle?
Probably.
Brad?
Yeah, I mean, it's a boring answer, but I would say Dawn.
Yeah.
Although I would say Day is
I like
Day
fun.
more than a lot of people, I think. I really like Day of the Dead.
Day has gotten a lot of traction in recent years, though.
Yeah.
People have really been into that one. But I mean, God, Night of the Living Dead is such a masterpiece in its own right too. It's that original trilogy. You can't really go wrong with any of them.
Yeah,
very much.
You know, the 4, 5.
Even like Land of the Dead, I think is okay.
Land of the Dead is pretty good. But the last two is what I mean. So I guess
like
5
Survival
and 6.
of the Dead.
Survival and Diary.
Diary, that's right.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up because I haven't seen those. I stopped at Land, but sounds like they're so-so.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're okay. I mean,
I don't remember them.
Yeah, I feel like the answer is supposed to be Dawn, but like honestly, if I'm being like true to myself, I think I would go with Day. Like I like,
some days probably,
am I wrong? Like I think of that as like Tom Savini's like magnum opus. Like, am I wrong on that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean that was his last feature that he did was effects work for. Was Day of the Dead, and it's just sort of like he took everything that he had learned on everything else he'd ever done and put it all on the table for Day of the Dead, and it shows. Because I mean, I remember seeing that for one. I was talking to Michele about this before we came on. That movie actually, Day of the Dead, when I first saw it, it actually made me physically ill because like when the zombie sits up and all his guts fall out. For example, that just really, really
one of many things.
Yeah, that really got to me. And you look at that now, and it's like completely convincing. And there are no digital effects going on. I mean, it is all practical, and it really holds up. There's not anything in that movie that makes me go, oh yeah, I can see the seams there. No, that movie is just, man, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I thoroughly enjoy it. I do, like I said, I do think of it as my favorite of those first three anyway. And it's the kind that also makes me hesitate to put back on because of those memories.
Yeah.
Like, because the first time I saw it, I was like, what, 14, something like that, and it hit, it hit on a visceral nerve or something that like it makes me think twice about revisiting it. I had the same fucking thing, and Brad knows about this with The Blob from 1988. That movie destroyed me when I was a child.
Yeah.
And I had to like purge the demon by doing a full like 2.5 hour review of it because I purposely like stayed away from that movie for years of my life because I know it wasn't. There's no way it could be as bad as what was in my head from the first time I was exposed to it. But it's just like you're like, nope, I know it's coming. And the same with Day of the Dead. Yeah. There's certain moments in that's just like, oof. Like I know this is entertainment. I know it's like it's all special effects. It's all exceedingly well executed, but somehow it still hits on a different level. And
I think those physical effects, because they're so tangible, I think they hit harder than, because I think like, even ones that are sort of like they're pretty good, but they're not as great as something like something like Hellraiser. Those still really kind of, you feel them, you feel them in your guts, and they're effective just because there's something tangible there. That, especially in horror, I think it just it beats sort of CGI blood, especially any day. I think that's why I think people are talking about movies like The Thing still, and The Blob. And speaking of great Scream Factory editions, that Blob is the '88 one is incredible. It's one of the best editions of recent years that I can think of. So really good.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think my favorite Kurosawa is might be Yojimbo. Like just it's certainly a more like commercial, more like popcorn friendly kind of experience. But
that's such a good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a reason it's forever imitated by so many other films throughout history. But I'm curious who like that 4K that you have. Who put that out?
Studio Canal, so it's actually a British release.
Okay, that's why I didn't recognize it.
But 4K is region free. So it's this is Studio Canal. So they did the transfer themselves. The 4K scan is from the negative is from them. So they are the ones who usually supply the transfers for Criterion and lots of other places. So you're in good hands with Studio Canal. So
okay, I might have to run out and grab that then.
Yeah, it was it was a little bit pricey, and I had to wait for it to show up because it's shipping from the UK. But you know what? Worth it. So I keep on hoping, for 4K scans like Seven Samurai and some of these others would be lovely.
It's actually why I haven't bought that.
I know, me
coming.
too. I'm like, they're putting out all these complete director sets now. They got the Bergman one, they've got the Varda one, they've got Fellini, and etc. And like, they got to be doing Kurosawa at some point. Because, if they don't, that was sort of their bread and butter. They sort of owned everything that Kurosawa was doing, except like a couple of movies here and there. So if they can grab the rights to those, I bet they're going to do a full Kurosawa set that on the Bergman level, and hopefully with 4K transfers of some of the big titles. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, now that they've opened that door, that they're starting to put out 4K pressings, it seems like, the company, their catalog seemingly was founded on distributing his title. So it's like, why not come full circle and just do it all over again?
Yeah, because, they even have the really early stuff is all in their catalog. So the only ones that aren't, I think, are like Dersu Uzala, Ron is not anymore, and a couple others, but that's it. It's all the rest of them are still in their catalog, so they should have them.
Very cool. I look forward to that. But that is exactly the reason I don't have Seven Samurai on a shelf.
Yeah,
Trevor, you should buy it because as soon as you buy it, they'll announce it.
They'll announce it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do it. It's like as soon as
I did that. I went ahead and bought Seven Samurai and the Yojimbo Sanjuro collections. And it still hasn't been announced yet. So
yeah, I have that.
Someone else has got to do it.
But yeah, I'm still sour about that RoboCop Arrow situation.
Gotta take one for the team.
Same thing. I bought The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly on Blu-ray on the Kino upgrade, and then they released it on 4K. And I was like, God damn it! So I went ahead and bought that one too. That's the only one. No, I know they announced the other two, but I haven't gotten those.
It's become the catchphrase of the episode, but such is the life of a collector.
Yep.
But that being said, Michele, ball is to you. What's your next pick?
Okay. My next one is actually my first cool one on the list. It actually has cool stuff. Well, it actually has cool stuff in it to show. There was 2 movies that I pre-ordered pretty much as soon as they were announced. This is not just one of my favorite horror movies, but just one of my favorite movies in general. The Arrow edition of Tremors. As soon as this was announced, oh my God, I was on it. I've been wondering about getting this on a good Blu-ray for years and years and years, and I was so excited. And this edition is fabulous. Of course, with the Arrow, it's got the nice little book, or the outside cover is really nice. And then you could just get the movie, which comes in most of their cases are usually clear, but I kind of like the black for this. And then there's one of their good booklets. Of course, it's got 3 or 4 essays in it. I don't remember them. I think I've read them, but I don't remember. That's just one you gotta sit down and just have some time with to really get it. But way more cool is this poster.
Oh.
So it came with a poster of the original art.
Nice.
On the back is the new, which I really love this new art that they came up with.
That is good.
For this, it's so
I think
cool
Arrow
looking.
Artwork is super cool.
Yeah,
it
they
is.
usually nail it.
It's usually some of my favorite newly commissioned stuff. More than Screen Factory. All kind of has the same kind of look to it, and it's not really my favorite. Arrow they make it really specific to the movie a lot of times, and it's just very cool. But there's a couple other fun extras, especially if you're a huge fan of the movie like I am. One thing was this other little poster that came in it. It's a
Oh, cool.
Oh wow, that's cool.
City of Perfection sign.
That's awesome.
And then on the other side, though, is really cool. It's this. It's like a scientific diagram of a graboid.
Oh.
It's got, it like lists all the multiple hearts, the stomach, and the spikes and everything. So it's really cool. On the inside here, it also came with. I thought this was super cute too. Came with a little coupon for Walter Chang's Market.
Nice.
It's a 50% off coupon.
That's adorable.
And then some, what do you call it, like lobby cards or whatever? Or,
Yeah.
just of pictures from the movie.
Very cool.
Fun stuff like that. So, yeah, like I said, this is one of my favorite movies ever. And so I was so happy to finally see this get the treatment that it deserved on Blu-ray. I can enjoy it. I've already seen it 1,000 times, but I can see it even more now because of this. So, love this edition.
If I'm being 100% honest, it should be in my top 10, honestly. Like, in terms of, like, most watched movies throughout my lifetime, it's probably honestly on that list.
God,
and I really do love that movie, and I do know it frontwards and backwards. I'm actually trying to find an excuse to watch it right now, so I think I just got it.
Just because it's awesome? That's the only excuse you really need?
I saw it for the first time for our show.
Really?
Really?
That's right, yeah.
Like last year.
Yeah, like last year.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad you did,
I couldn't believe, because it was all over the place. Yeah.
I
It was
know.
all
I
over the
know.
place when I was growing up. I don't know how you ever missed it. I'm glad you saw it now, and you loved it.
Yeah, I was just in the right age, too. There's really no reason why I shouldn't have seen it. So, who knows? My wife, who hates horror, has seen it. She says, "Oh, we used to watch that all the time." It's not, as far as horror movies go. I mean, it's something. It's not.
It's really tame.
It's not Midsummer that made her actually want to throw up.
I did.
That story is amazing about my wife watching Midsummer and like crying in the shower afterwards. So,
Oh, God.
That's not an amazing thing.
it was a bad situation. So she holds that over my head. No, I'm not watching that, Brian. Anyway, yeah. So, but she had seen, she'd seen Tremors at, like sleepovers as a kid, and I was like, I don't know how I missed that one, but
I remember asking Scream Factory like several times, like about whether or not they could actually get this. They said no all the time. No, we can't get the rights to this. So I was really happy, for one thing, that Arrow got it, because I love Arrow, and they did a great dish. But I was surprised that it was them and not Scream Factory.
yeah.
But happy that someone got it, because
Michelle, what are your thoughts on the sequels?
I love the sequels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like them too.
Except for
I haven't
the
seen
fourth
all
one.
the newer ones, but
I don't really like the newer ones aren't really my favorite, but the first three are pretty good to me.
I like
the second one pretty much almost as much as the first one.
Yeah, no,
It's a lot of fun.
I like the second one quite a bit. Third one, I think, is a dip, and then the fourth one, the period piece. Like, I actually kind of like that one. The third one with the ass
interesting.
blasters, I was like, there's some.
I love the ass blasters are awesome.
But I think Brad and I both left off at there is the tropical one the newest one, or the one in the snow? Because I get
The one in the snow, I think.
yeah, I didn't. I think the last one I saw was it in Africa with
Me too.
Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that was the last one I saw.
So Shrieker
Not a
Island and then Cold Day in Hell or whatever, I think, are the two that collectively Brad and I haven't seen. But Michelle, have you seen the most recent two?
I saw the Shrieker Island
Okay.
one, I think. Whatever it was, I didn't like it. No. So
And I think I saw the pilot of
Sorry.
the TV series, but I don't remember watching any more than that.
that would have been so awesome.
Oh well, we still got the other ones.
Anything with more Burt Gummer.
I mean, I think I just quoted him last time I talked with Brad. Actually, like, from Tremors
right.
2. I didn't know. How could I have known?
Yeah.
I feel I was denied necessary, need to know information. I like that cover. Yeah.
I am completely out of ammo.
Ammo.
That's never happened to me before.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm guessing that like a lot of that stuff in the Era limited edition is exclusive to the limited edition, like the Perfection Nevada sign.
I believe so. Yes.
Because I think the limited edition is gone. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of kicking myself because I didn't know it included that sign. That was that. I'm
How cute
kind of
is that,
kicking
right?
myself over this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself too, because like I said, I think it's the Universal Blu-ray, and it is very bare bones. Like it's serviceable. Like it is a movie, but it is not. It's not.
I
that.
gave mine to Brian. Brian has mine.
I do.
I have
Yes,
the,
that's right. You sent that to me.
I have the Attack Pack DVD.
Oh,
so
cool.
I
yeah,
have
I've
all.
got that too. Yeah.
Yeah. But the first one is really
Now-
the only one you need on a good edition.
Upgraded the first one. Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, Brad, I guess the pick is to you, sir. What you got next?
All right. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on Tales from the Shelf. I don't know. Maybe I have. If I can't remember, nobody else is gonna. So I'll mention. I have here from Vinegar Syndrome their Homegrown Horrors Volume 1
Nice.
release,
Mm-hmm.
which as much as I love lists, I don't do like a best releases of the year because I just, if I had unlimited money maybe I would, but I don't buy enough physical. Like I buy quite a bit of physical media, but to do like a best of the year, there's so much that I get years and years down the line. But
Yeah.
this is probably one of my favorite releases from last year. It's all very small, independent, regionally produced and shot horror films. So you've got 3 films here: Fatal Exam, Beyond Dream's Door, and Winter Beast. And honestly, I kind of enjoyed all 3 of them. They all kind of hit a different sweet spot for me. I really like the Vinegar Syndrome box set releases. You got the individual cases inside, all with their own unique artwork. Just a really nice set, really simple. Like, it's not like overly trying to be fancy with its packaging, but it really gets the job done nicely. And yeah, if you're somebody who likes, lower budget but somewhat ambitious horror films, striving to be a little bit greater than what they are, I definitely recommend checking this out. A lot of special features. If you're a fan of stop motion effects, Winter Beast is a real fun one.
I've been hearing that one a lot on, I think, Colors of the Dark or one of those podcasts, those horror podcasts that's a little more deep cutty.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's a weird film.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It's not good, but like it is like just like the the ambition of what they're trying to do on the effects is
I love that,
really
too.
kind of cool to watch.
Uh-huh.
I would say Beyond Dream's Door is legit. I would have thought that it was just a normally small studio, but like a studio produced film from the 80s or early 90s. Like it's pretty well made for what it is. So that's probably the best film of the bunch. But they all have their own charms to them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing
Fantastic.
package, Brad. And there's a special feature that I'm going to ask you to display for all the folks on the webcam that comes with that packaging. Could you give me a little in-out action?
Oh yeah,
there?
the satisfying the air, the way it pushes out the air.
There's a particular sound that comes with a nicely put together Blu-ray box that chef's kiss.
It's real good. Yeah.
That's a back of the box feature they should advertise, but they did not.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are this is volume 1. It is on their list. They're putting out volume 2 later this year. So
Oh, cool.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of like what Arrow did with the American Horror Project thing.
Yep.
They had.
That's right. Yeah. That's like a big ongoing project, isn't it?
They're on volume 3.
Oh wow.
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've
I
got
don't
the first one of those. Just the regular standard edition though.
Are the two of you Vinegar Syndrome fans? Do you have many of those titles in your collection?
I don't have a whole lot.
I have a handful.
Yeah.
One of them is in front of my face right now.
I can't even think of what I have.
Yeah, I only have I think 3 titles of theirs. I picked it up all in one sale, like I think last year. But beyond that, I continually keep an eye on their catalog, largely thanks to Brad. He's the one who keeps a better eye on those sorts of things. But in general, like I really appreciate them. Like I really do think they make fantastic product. It's just I very seldom pull the trigger on actually acquiring their stuff.
Yeah. I've been buying a lot from one of their partner labels. It's a new label called Fun City Editions, and I've bought everything from them so far.
Wow.
I haven't heard of any of them before I buy them, but I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I just am compelled to get them because every single one of them has been good. So far, they've done Jeremy, I Start Counting. I mean, real deep cuts, sort of obscure stuff, but they did Morvern Caller, though, which is Lynn Ramsey's second movie that has not been available for a very long time. So, you know, and Criterion just put out Ratcatcher, so you kind of got the 1-2 punch of those early films from her being released, you know. Also director of her more well-known movies, which are We Need to Talk About Kevin and You Were Never Really Here.
Never Really Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just for context, in case people don't know who we're talking about. And they put out Smile, which is amazing. A movie called Radio On, which is one of my favorite discoveries of the year so far.
Oh, really?
So yeah, really cool stuff. I really love Fun City Editions. But then I've gotten some Vinegar Syndrome, like Christmas Evil I picked up, has become one of my favorite movies, period. I love that movie. As far as holiday horror movies go, it's easily my favorite. But it's so good. And like Spookies and some others that are sort of off the wall and weird, you know, I've picked up as well.
Yeah, Brad talked at length about Spookies on his podcast a while back.
Yeah, Spookies rocks.
I'm holding out hope. You know, speaking of Wes Craven, I'm holding out hope that they put out his porno.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
I'm holding out hope they put out the Fireworks Woman, because I will. I should say so. Not only do I not have Swamp Thing on physical, I don't have the Fireworks Woman either. Directed by Abe Snake.
Not by Wes Craven, by Abe Snake.
Abe Snake, damn.
Which, you know, if you're gonna pick a porn name, oh man, you can't do much better than that. That's pretty good.
That's a good one. Yeah, that is good.
That's solid.
Yeah, so.
Well, I just got sad because I remembered something else I could have included in this. I forgot what the name of another partner label of Vincent just put out one of my favorite movies of recent years, Her Smell.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it was a really, really cool edition.
Yeah,
that totally could have been on here, too.
Yeah, that's right. They put that up pretty recently, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that was another one that I pre-ordered, like, right away, because I love that movie.
Is it Gunpowder and Sky? Is that them?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, we my regular co-host and I, Kyle, we reviewed that one not too long ago. I don't think either of us own it, but yeah, I was really impressed with that film.
It's awesome.
Oh yeah, and that
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yes, I know. I've been trying to get Brian to watch it.
I've been trying to get her to watch 2001.
I'm not going to watch 2001. Stop it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of future episodes in the works here that we brought up.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Okay.
Actually, neither of those are on the list, to be honest. But.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe add it then.
Maybe they will be now.
Yeah, they might be.
I mean, because they really are both excellent films, certainly worthy of discussion. Anyway, I guess the pick is to me. So I had a big, loud, stupid option, but I'm gonna go with a more subtle one. Just I don't have the energy. I just have here yet another DVD. Again, sorry, Brad. At least it's an import though, so you can at least like it's somewhat like pinky up a little bit more highbrow, I guess, because it's quote foreign. It's not a highbrow film. Nothing I have is highbrow. Haven't you noticed? I have here a Hong Kong edition, so this is actually Region 3, and my ex made off with my my all region player, so I have like a tiny block of my shelf that I'm just incapable of watching anymore. But I've always really liked this edition, so I've kept it, even though I have since upgraded to a Blu-ray that's, region 1. So I have here, this is Wilson Yip's Flashpoint on DVD. And this is starring Donnie Yen from, I think, 2007. And it's also Louis Koo there pictured here. But I always thought this edition was interesting because it's like a special edition, but the packaging, this is actually fabric.
Oh,
and
wow.
It opens on the diagonal.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then there's a inner case that opens here. And then we have special features and the film itself. And may as well drop some shit while I'm at it. Also, a collection of postcards here, because a lot of Asian disc publishers, that's just a thing you do. Mm-hmm. A lot of Japanese and Chinese versions of discs that you get, Korean as well, like to give you postcards and things you can send to people or keep in the packaging if you're a collector. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed this movie. It was I don't know, it was part of like a little bit of like a renaissance period in a 2000s era Hong Kong action cinema. Like Hong Kong film is basically dead. Like right now, it grinds my gears. It's really sad.
It is.
It's not what it was.
And so much of what was being produced in the 80s and 90s is just not findable anymore. Yeah, unfortunately, some movies that I'm like Stanley Kwan films and stuff like that I'm just really interested in seeing, and they're just not available.
Yeah, they've not been archived very well. They're not readily available most places.
Yep.
But this era in which this film came out in the 2000s, it was actually like kind of a second golden age of sorts, where they were cranking out really solid product on the regular. There was, like, in terms of just like blood and guts, like willingness and talent, there was also technical talent backing it. So it was like this deadly combination of sheer filmmaking capability coupled with the willingness to go balls out and put amazing images on the screen. Mm-hmm. It was just a really wonderful time that it happened to fall when I was in college and had access to, like, the college BitTorrent network and whatnot, and was finding my way to these films. And it was kind of a really formative era for me, where I was kind of learning about the films that actually mean a lot to me, in terms of the things that I look for and I appreciate the most in films. And truthfully, the answer often comes down to stunt work and fluid action editing, because the art of editing together shots of action sequences it's a fine art that I think is probably underappreciated. Yeah. In fact, Brad has a friend that suffers from a disease we like to call action blindness. I forget, Brad, who coined that phrase? Was it him or was it you?
Boy, let's say it was me. Let's just say it was me.
Yeah, I'll take credit for that.
He's not here.
No, he's not here. He can't defend himself. He probably doesn't listen to my show. He's not that good of a friend. He won't follow you to other people's programs. But Brad had a buddy, and I forget exactly the context, but he mentioned this affliction of his, action blindness, where he's like, yeah, I watch action films, and like, I don't know if I suffer from like action blindness or something, but I don't really know what makes them good. Like it's all just stuff. like he was just pointing out how he didn't have the analytical tool set to distinguish between what makes an action scene quote good or just like another action scene. And it's like, you got to get on that, buddy. Like there really is a massive difference between poorly executed action and expertly like coordinated action. But Flashpoint was a really big deal for me. I frequent a lot of like martial arts action websites. Sounds like maybe some of the folks that you guys are in contact with might have something to do with. There's a website called City on Fire and one called Film Combat Syndicate that consistently put out news about this sort of thing. But it was through them that I had access to like trailers for these movies, for like Donnie Yen's like second golden age in his filmography. And I remember the trailer for this one, Flashpoint, was on repeat for me, very similar to when Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight was on the horizon. Like it's just like over and over and over again. So I was thoroughly invested in this movie before it even came out. But anyway, Flashpoint is it's like, I think the third pairing between Donnie Yen and director Wilson Yip. And I think their collaboration finally came to a close with Ip Man 4, like just a couple years ago. But they had this long stretch where he was like Scorsese's like DiCaprio or De Niro, like he was his muse. Like the two of them did wonderful things together, and it seems like it's finally coming to an end. But if you ask me, that one might be, aside from like the Ip Man films, Flashpoint might be the one I appreciate the most.
I've heard my action friends on Twitter say that that's a favorite of theirs.
Yeah, it was really unique because it was I think there's a lot of parallels between like martial arts cinema and horror cinema, in that they both seem to innovate at the same pace. They're both very trend oriented. Where a lot of producers of horror content seem to, like, it's understood. It's not scoffed at, the idea of paying homage to another creator of horror content. It's expected that it's like, no, you tip the cap to those who came before because we're all in this together and we all love the same things. So it's not like you're cheap or you're not talented because you're aping the craft of other people. And I want to say the same goes for action coordination as well, where it's like, how many Indiana Jones truck chase homages have we seen over the years? It's a badge of honor to try to replicate that scene. It's not considered cheap or lazy to try to reenact that to some extent. But it's really interesting, like how these like niche like fandoms of subgenres of films, like people find each other and they find these like bizarre little things to latch onto, and it's really neat seeing the enthusiasm pour out.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that the movie pre-Ip Man or?
Yeah, I think this was the last one before Ip Man, and then Ip Man kind of just exploded. It became something. It's funny because Ip Man was part of a trend. Like it was piggybacking off of a wave of biopic martial arts films that were coming out of China at the time. Like Jet Li's Fearless came out very shortly before it, and it's like at the time Ip Man was like, who's Ip Man? It's like most Americans probably don't even know how to pronounce the name. It's like, it's the funny looking guy that taught Bruce Lee some stuff. It's like, why should I care about him? And then the movie came out and it's like, well, nothing in this movie actually happened for the most part, but it's a pretty fucking entertaining movie. So let's make a giant franchise out of it and piss off all of his surviving family members because of all the fictionalized accounts of his life. And Ip Man turned into this phenomenon that it's truly bizarre how many movies bear that title, because it's produced in the Chinese film landscape. So it's just like there's the official Ip Man movies that have the blessing of his surviving family members and in fact feature them in the cast, and then there's the Donnie Yen ones, which are complete fabrications. And then there's like a multiple TV series. It's like the Ip Man cinematic universe. It's like, where it's like the multiverse of Ip Man films.
I did not know that.
That would be amazing. A whole bunch of portals open and a bunch of guys all go like this and have to fight Thanos with rolling punches.
There we go.
Grossly ineffectual rolling punches delivered by middle-aged Chinese. I want to see that movie, goddammit. Anyway, any appreciation for martial arts cinema between the movies for life folks here?
I do, but I'm not that well versed in them.
Yeah, same. I've seen a few of the big titles.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
love the Raid movies.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen Enter the Dragon, and I've seen.
I haven't seen any like Bruce Lee or anything.
Yeah, I really liked Iron Monkey. Was one I remember liking a lot, but I haven't seen a lot of stuff from across the spectrum of it. Yeah. So,
well, it is intimidating because it is quite a massive spectrum.
Vast, yeah, it's vast, yeah.
No, but I would recommend dipping your toes though.
Definitely.
Like for sure, Michele, definitely check out at least Bruce Lee movie. Like,
I know.
Because I mean, like, regardless of how much appreciation you have or can cultivate for the martial arts aspect of things, like Bruce Lee as a screen presence is truly dynamic. Like the camera just like loves him.
Yeah.
He's pretty fucking sexy. I'll just say that.
That is very true. It'd be right up your alley in that way, Michelle.
Very awesome.
Yeah. So now that I think of it, I've seen like the Five Venoms. I've seen the 39th Temple of Shaolin, Chamber of Shaolin. Sorry. I have a few. Come Drink with Me. A Touch of Zen. I've seen a few sort of like the tentpole titles, I guess, from a certain era, I guess, but I haven't seen beyond that really. So,
no, it's all really cool stuff. What I think is really interesting about it is, like I said, I've been cultivating this theory for a while that there are a lot of parallels between like horror and like action or stunt coordination worlds, and like in my mind, like makeup effects people have like a similar kind of celebrity to like martial arts choreographers.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Like they carry the same type of prestige, but they both have like that behind the camera like role, but somehow they managed to be celebrities in their own right. If you like saw them and you were like a super fan, you'd be like, oh man, like
it's Greg Nicotero.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah, like Greg Nicotero is probably like the foremost example today anyway. Like
Savini, a few years ago.
And Savini's like he's like the best interview. Like I love watching interviews with that man. Like he's so animated and passionate, and he just seems like such a fun guy.
He is.
Have you met him?
A couple of times.
I mean, is all that true? Because I've only seen him on camera.
He's kind of a staple of the convention that I used to go to, Texas Frightmare. He was there like every year, and I did go to one of his. He hosted a panel that was just him, pretty much, and it was him. He just walked up to the front of the room and leaned up against the podium and was like, "All right, so what do you want to know?" and he literally just opened it up to the whole room, and people asked questions, and he was awesome.
Oh, I love that. That sounds like what I kind of picture. He would be high on my list if I had the opportunity, not necessarily interview, but just to like chat with one of those behind the scenes personalities. He'd be very high on my list. Kane Hodder as well. Kane
Hodder's awesome.
He seems pretty fucking cool.
He's awesome.
How about you, Brad? You got any horror celebs that you'd want to chat with?
Oh boy, that's a good one. D. Wallace from Cujo and E.T.
Will you be my mom?
Fan.
And The Hills Have Eyes.
Her.
Don't forget The Hills Have Eyes.
I've met her too.
I know you have.
Wow. Brad, have you ever been to a horror convention?
I haven't. I don't know. I feel like Michigan's really lacking in the convention scene. I know we've got a Detroit Comic-Con, but I don't know. I've never had anything like when I see the lineup, I'm always like, I don't feel like driving down there to go to that. Like, I don't know. If we were, I bet you if I went to like Chicago, I bet you there'd be a better setup. But yeah, we're forgotten up here.
I'm in Missouri. I travel down to Texas.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
every year for this thing because they do a good job. And I've missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even that much of a convention person myself, but like there's a couple of like retro video game conventions that I was going to annually, like as of a few years ago, and then it's like, well, I was just starting to get comfortable being social for a change in my 30s. Thanks. But oh well. But yeah, Brad, maybe consider that someday. I don't know. Are you a convention guy? Because I'm really not for the most part.
I think I'd get into it if I went. It's just I've never experienced one, so it's hard to say. But I think I'd have a lot of fun if I did go.
I mean, if you're anything like me, you'd probably just fart around at the vendor tables more so than like all the other stuff. It's like, ooh, Vinegar Syndrome.
Honestly, yeah, when like Vinegar Syndrome or Severin and them post, we're gonna be at this convention. That gets me more excited than any of the celebrities being there, to be honest. Like, I can browse a Vinegar Syndrome table. Hell yeah, I'd go for that.
That's like my favorite thing. Yeah, at Texas Fair, they always had Vincent, Severin, and Arrow were all in like the same little Arrow area, and I was like, oh,
Brad,
yes.
Brad, get on that.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
It's like, we're gonna make our rent this month.
Yeah.
No.
There was one year I may have come home with like 15 or so Blu-rays. So.
Hey, whatever makes you happy. So, again, such is the life of a collector.
Yep, exactly. They make me happy.
Okay, let's do another round then.
All right, so this is I just happened to see this movie on the big screen for the first time a couple weeks ago for its 80th anniversary. And this edition is the 70th anniversary of Casablanca.
Ooh.
Okay. So this is the Blu-ray edition. Again, I picked this because lots of cool shit. So it's got a poster, big old classic, nice one.
Wow.
Nice profile of
like that.
Ingrid there. Yeah, it's a really nice.
I've never seen that before.
Poster.
Yeah.
I hadn't either until we got this. It's got a book. So it's a pretty slim little volume, but it's a whole thing, a bunch of essays, and photos and all sorts of things like that. It has coasters that come in this little thing.
I love that.
That's cool.
So we haven't even taken them out of the plastic,
Yeah.
so they're all together, but they just say Casablanca on them, if you can see that. Then the edition itself is, the Blu-ray. So it's got Blu-ray disc 1 is got the movie itself with a all-new 4K scan, which I believe they have done again for its inevitable 4K release for its 80th anniversary that I'm sure is coming out this year. And it's probably the scan they used for that big screen engagement, right? But it's got something about Michael Curtiz on it, Casablanca, an unlikely classic, an introduction by Lauren Bacall, commentaries by Roger Ebert and Rudy Belmer, which were ported over from earlier editions. The Warner Night at the Movies thing, which is really cool. They're usually hosted by Leonard Maltin. They have a cartoon and all these other things, newsreel, all these things thrown in there. And all kinds of nifty things. And then the second disc is another Blu-ray that has has documentaries about the film itself, about Warner Brothers, about Jack Warner in particular, and then disc 3 is the DVD edition of the movie because Blu-ray was a relatively new format at the time, so they included both, as they often did back in those days. So this is this movie is kind of a special movie to me because it was the first movie my wife and I bonded over when we first met, and so it seeing it on the big screen, it still works. It still is effective. It's still romantic. It's still a great story, and it's still a great film, And yeah, and that's a damn cool edition of it. So that's all there is to it.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I'm not sure we've ever actually watched the disc, but hey, it's one that it's a great addition to have, if nothing else, and yeah, we've gotten multiple editions of that. I mean, the original DVD, the special edition DVD, the first Blu-ray release of it, and then this, so we'll probably get it on 4K too. It's one of those kind of movies for us. Mm-hmm. So anyway.
Yeah, I gotta say the coasters. That's a cool. I don't know. I can't think of. Has there been any other releases that anyone can think of that include coasters? Because I like that.
It seems like it would be a great addition for like The Shining or something like that. It's like you have a coaster because it's a movie about alcoholism.
Yeah,
But the coasters was an interesting touch. It's like
Very.
I heard there was like an edition of Showgirls that came with a blindfold and stuff. So all sorts of
that's pretty good.
kinky bondage stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really a really
seen
handsome
that.
package.
I've seen
It's
that
nice, yeah.
edition for sale on Hamilton, and I was afraid to buy it because it's oddly shaped. I wouldn't know what to do with it. On my
I know. I
shelf
have
or
to.
anything.
It goes on the same shelf as my Godzilla set, my Bergman
Right.
set, my Varda set. That have no place else to be. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I was about to say it has kind of a similar silhouette to my Christopher Nolan Batman collection there. That is a sad box, by the way. Like it's clunky, it's unwieldy, it's massive, and on top of that, you get a Micro Machine tumbler. Instead of really cool coasters and a booklet, you get a fucking Micro Machine Batmobile. Like, obviously, that's the whole reason I bought that box. Obviously, that's the only reason to buy that box. So, like, that's a really handsome package, though. Like as a display piece, and also like with the sentimental angle to it as well. It's like it'd be a cool thing to have up in your collection,
It doesn't stay closed very, very well, though. That's part of the
same
problem
with the
it.
Batman box.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's like they meant it to be like lay flat or something like that. Because
I think
ridiculous.
so. I think so.
Yeah.
And I have a Wolverine box set that has the same thing, where it lets out a sigh every once in a while, and just goes, and the lid starts to come out a little bit.
Yikes! Yeah.
Oy. Anyway, Michelle.
Me?
Yeah. What's your
All
next
right.
pick?
I'm gonna do another Arrow release of my.
I'm shocked.
No, right? Who would have thunk it? But this is my favorite Guillermo del Toro movie.
Oh,
Their
Crimson Peak, yeah.
Crimson Peak edition. I didn't get this as soon as it was released, and so I was so nervous that I had missed out on this like super cool. There's like a regular edition, and then there's like the super cool edition. But someone informed me that it was still available on Hamilton after it was like supposedly sold out from Arrow, so I finally got it, and totally worth it. It's like a freaking book. It's so cool, and it opens. I love this. The art on the front is just, I don't know.
It's gorgeous.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't know how to
that's good.
describe that.
Yeah.
But it's just beautiful. You open it. It's got this little like pull tab thing here that pulls out a book, which is in a sleeve. It's like an actual book.
Yeah.
Well, the book, like usual booklet that it has, with all the essays and stuff in it. I like this one a lot though too, because it's got like concept illustrations for the ghosts.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
I don't know. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
They're so cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also got concept drawings for like the house too, and for the setting for just all the different locations. And it's even got the like a little cool little drawing of the little clay
The
conveyor
digger,
belt
yeah.
thing
Yeah.
that's outside. Love it. And then like the movie is like all the way down here at the bottom of this case.
Wow.
Because then you also get cute little pictures of the
More
characters.
photos,
It's
yeah,
got
nice.
stuff on the other side too. And I really liked this this art that came on the poster. Had the original art that was on the DVD, and then this picture is beautiful. I love this.
Oh, I don't think I've
Guys.
seen that
I
before.
haven't seen that either.
I
Yeah.
know, and how cool is that?
That's really neat.
The only problem with the kind of posters that Arrow puts in here is that they're folded, and so there's all
Instead of rolled, yeah.
lines everywhere. So you have to like lay it flat, and even then you still have like the little creases and stuff. But very cool art to have. just kind of matches the. I love this movie so much. I think it's gorgeous, and I think like the release kind of matches the aesthetic of the movie. You know.
Well, you even have to dig for the disc.
Right.
You have to dig through the red clay to get to the disc.
It's all the way in the bottom of this. Yeah. It kind of feels like an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the movie too. You get all this other cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself. I have the lame standard edition of the Arrow disc. But
so do I now. No, not Arrow. Mine's not Arrow though.
You have the. Yeah. I gave you the regular one.
You gave me the regular Blu-ray.
Okay. Yeah, I have the Arrow one, and actually, Brad and I did an episode of Tales from the Shelf called Artful Aesthetics, where we talked about like movies that, on an aesthetic level, like in terms of just like visual presentation, are showstoppers. Yeah. And that was one of my picks for that.
Yeah. Totally.
In terms of production design, it's absolutely incredible to look at. Mm-hmm. Like even if you like didn't have a clue what was going on, if you just like walked by and you saw it playing on the screen, it's like, hello, I need to sit down for a minute. Like that was incredible. On Movies for Life, you guys talked about Pan's Labyrinth very recently, right?
Mm-hmm. We did.
Yeah, I remember. I think you guys touched on this, but like I noticed, like Guillermo del Toro has a thing about face trauma. Like he's really big on fucking up people's faces. And I want to say it's like, I don't think it's exactly that. I think it's something about like his style of presenting violence. Like there's a certain edge that comes with it that it's never treated as an ordinary thing. It always has some form of like, not necessarily theatricality, but like some like really significant punch to it that makes it stand out as like a very impactful, meaningful moment in a lot of his movies. But yeah, good face trauma in the Crimson Peak.
Where like by the end, the villains their outside matches their inside.
Yeah, they like shed their skin, like so they come to resemble the monster that's been buried.
Yeah, I need to revisit. I haven't seen that one since theaters. It's been a while.
I actually haven't watched it in a while either. I'm like itching to get back into it.
Yeah,
especially now.
I only got the standard edition Blu-ray, so I'm not in any rush to. If I had the Arrow Blu-ray, maybe I'd be in more of a rush to pop it in, but not on that standard Blu-ray.
Yeah. You know, I one of the things that I didn't think to grab for whatever reason is I have the Criterion trilogy del Toro. You know, that's got Kronos, Devil's Backbone, and Pan's Labyrinth in it. That's a really cool set too. That is also oddly shaped and opens on its own.
Let me ask you on that. So is that like shaped? Can you put that on like a shelf, or does that have to be like outside the like normal shelf?
You would
know
have
what
to.
I mean?
It does. It's square shaped, so it doesn't quite fit.
Because I was considering getting that, but like a lot of these directors' collections, they are like they start with on the spine. They start with the name of the director, so it'll be like a Hitchcock collection. It'll have Hitchcock, the complete collection. Like I don't know, it lists them. So it's like, okay, put it under H. But with that one, because it's like Trilogia del Toro, like would you put it under T? Would you put it under D? Where the hell are you gonna put that?
It's on a separate shelf.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do. But I don't know.
It's on the weirdly shaped ones with Varda and Bergman.
Yeah.
You know. So, I don't have Fellini. I don't like Fellini enough to get that one. Sorry.
I have a special section of the shelf that is for box sets and weird shaped things that don't fit in with the other standard sizes.
Yeah, Brad asking the important questions. Always Brad is super critical of the way my collection is laid out. Like he's not.
You would hate mine so much. It's not even funny.
I don't know. He might actually.
Michele would yell at me for my.
Mine is beautifully organized.
It is. It is. Michele would be very upset if she saw the current state of my
no.
my Blu-ray shelves. I was like,
You're gonna need to get a paper bag for one of you or something. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
Is this the end of the friendship?
well, it's a good thing we live 2,000 miles apart.
My sloppy collection can't hurt you.
Yeah,
I would come
right.
that far to help you with your
I know
collection.
you would. Yeah.
Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't my big issue with yours is that you didn't separate out DVDs and Blu-rays,
No,
you mixed them all together?
Well, no, I think it was having to do with like numbers and letters
Brian!
or something.
Okay.
No, I have my.
You don't separate the DVDs and Blu-rays.
Oh my god.
It's just a free for all. Just like the heights of the boxes goes.
Like aesthetically, how do you stand that? They're different
It's
sizes.
in a shelf behind me, behind
Okay.
doors. Don't have to look
Okay.
at it.
Well, see, that's the difference. You have doors.
You're, As long as you can live with
Doors are
yourself.
in very short supply in Seattle, so I don't have the convenience of being able to do that. But yeah, Brad has any number of issues.
Oh no,
with
the
the way.
shelving has like these sliding doors on it.
Oh, even better. But Brad has
nice.
always given me shit for the way
My wife
I organize my
insisted
collection.
on that. Yeah.
I don't. It's like this is really lovely, but can I not look at it all the time?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Brad, the pick is to you, sir. Are you gonna pick something to spite me or something like that, or is
No, no. I think I'm gonna have to call an audible on this one and go
Oh.
with something I wasn't even gonna pull it off the shelf, but we already brought up the film. So Brian, I'm gonna have to apologize
I
to your
see
wife.
it behind you. Yeah, I saw it back there.
I'm gonna have to grab the giantly tall release of the Midsommar director's cut.
Which I still haven't seen the director's cut. I've only seen the theatrical.
Well, I'll tell you something. I haven't seen the director's cut.
Oh,
either.
okay, fair enough. Good, great.
I
good.
want to. It's 3 hours long, so it's like I want to watch it, but it's hard to squeeze in. But no, this is a really cool release. It was put out by A24 themselves, and I got to be careful with this here. I got to be careful with what I show because there are some. Well, there goes the disc, but it's a great release. The disc doesn't stay inside very well.
I mean, I think we already have some boobs on this particular episode,
Yeah,
Brad. So
we both showed our
That's
possession
true.
covers. So.
That's true. There might be. This might go a little further than the possession.
okay, let's not go
there's-
nuts here. Like, we
Yeah,
don't want to
there's-
get
I
yanked
think
off of
so.
YouTube. Like,
There's a lot of just great Midsommar imagery in here. Like, let me see if I can find a. There's some intercourse going on in here. More intercourse. Here, this you can show this on YouTube, right? Somebody being burned alive. Like, that's okay, right?
Oh, that's no
That's
problem.
fine.
That's no problem.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
But yeah, some really interesting art that goes along with the film, and there is introduction by Marty Scorsese himself. He's been championing this
Dad.
film since it came out. So yeah, it's a really cool release. Again, the disc fell out as soon as I opened it, so it's gonna lose some points on that alone. But I do like this film. I liked Hereditary quite a bit more, but I would like to revisit this and see the director's cut and see if maybe it works a little better for me on a rewatch. But yeah, this is a really cool release.
That is a nice release. I've seen it, but I wasn't willing to pay for it.
Yeah,
it was a little pricey for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because I liked the film, but I'm not like. I think I found it at Walmart for like $9. So that was good for me on that one. But yeah, it's I want to see the director's cut because I hear that Christian's like a bigger asshole in that version and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. I'd be curious, but
Yeah, I'll get around to it someday. I think, is it this year that Ari Aster's next film is coming out? I know he's working on one, so maybe when that comes out, I'll try and pair it with that.
I know Robert Eggers has a new one coming out, so it seems natural. Yeah, it seems natural. They seem to release the same year all the time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but actually, I just gave that to Kyle, Brad. my regular co-host on the show. I just gifted that exact edition to him, and he watched it. Actually, I was really surprised. He got right into it, and he said he prefers the director's cut. And this is coming from someone who deeply values short run times in his watching habits. Like oftentimes that's a selling point for him.
That, yeah.
But he did like the director's cut over the theatrical. And what's more, again, coming from a person who doesn't normally appreciate these sorts of things, he also said the score, the soundtrack for it really resonated with him. And normally that's a thing that it just goes one ear out the other. Like he barely notices it. But this time he's like, no, like I actually sat down and listened to the score after I watched the movie again. So definitely, I guess, find a way to check it out. But yeah, Brad, it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever talked about that before on the show, because it's always visible in the frame. But I was like wondering when you're going to get around to it. But finally, we got to it.
Tonight's the night, baby. Tonight's the night.
Yeah, I actually am looking for an excuse to rewatch that one. So maybe the director's cut is the way I'll go. But again, the price tag for that one is usually the barrier in my mind that keeps me from getting to it. But there was enough material there that kind of similar to, I actually poked Brian, I think, on Twitter about Dr. Sleep. There's a director's cut of that I'm very curious about, because I've heard nothing but good things about it. I guess it's I've heard it's just the better version of the movie, and I already liked it, so it's like, of course I want to see the director's cut.
We have an episode coming up where we talk a little bit about the differences, though we couldn't remember a whole lot. Some of them are just aesthetic, some of them are just sort of the way the chapter breaks happen and stuff. But yeah, we both love Dr. Sleep, so yeah.
Yeah, Brad, how about you? You Dr. Sleep fan?
Yeah, I've seen it twice now, and based on my ratings, I like the director's cut a lot more. But I don't know, that could have been just, I was a little more settled in for it on the second watch, because I had read the book before seeing the film, so I could have been immediately seeing the film after reading the book. I could have been a little more critical. And then watching the director's cut a year or two later, I was just a little more removed from the source material. But I do like the film overall.
Yeah, well, you cut out there, Brad. I'm going to assume that you were just like calling me a son of a bitch the whole time. But I'm sure it was all gold, and it'll be on your recording. So it's all staying in, including the
Excellent.
But yeah, a nice pick, Brad. I'm really glad you had an excuse to share it, because I've always been curious what your thoughts on that one were. But yeah, it sounds like it might have to make a reappearance on the Backlog Boogie whenever we get around to that. But I guess the pick is to me. I'm gonna continue the train of lowbrow picks here, as well as money going to questionable sources here. I have here a shit ton of Blu-rays that there's a reason I've been holding off on showing these to you, Brad. I did mention them before. I was like, good God, that is far too much of that for any grown man to have in their possession. But now I have the whole set, so now I can show it off in all of its aesthetic presentation glory. So I have here, like I said, a shit ton of Ultraman Blu-rays.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
From your favorite, Brad, Mill Creek. So
wonderful.
Brad is not especially a big fan of Mill Creek. I don't think anyone really is. But their licensing catalog, they just sometimes, man, they just gobble up the rights to exactly the right thing. And in this case, Ultraman just happens to be exactly the right thing, like exactly the right property for me. Because I've long been invested in this franchise. I was raised on the Ultraman, if you will. Many people have been raised on the Ultraman, being as the franchise dates back to like 1966, but actually slightly earlier than that, because this actually includes Ultra Q, which is a series that slightly predates Ultraman. But yeah, the presentation of like lining up all these boxes together is
very
for us,
satisfying.
it's very satisfying. It's satisfying in that like CGI animation that you see on Instagram sort of way, where it's like, oh man, that like weird metallic it being extruded out of that hole. It's just so satisfying. But on an aesthetic level, being able to put that on my shelf is very satisfying. But in addition to that, though, the transfers on the discs are pretty solid. Actually, kind of the catalyst for me investing in these came as a result of a Shout Factory DVD set I had of Ultra 7. So that would be this series here. Being just gross to look at. Several years ago, they Shout Factory put out a DVD box set of the entire television series of Ultra 7. I picked that up, and I tried to watch it, and I don't know, like maybe it's an upscaling issue or something. It's unwatchable. Like humans don't look human. Like they just look like blotches. It was terrible to look at. It was shocking coming from Shout Factory.
That is shocking from them.
But thankfully the Mill Creek edition, thankfully of all things, is far superior and is quite handsome to look at. And even the subtitle quality, while not the best, is pretty good. There's certain boxes here that are subtitled more accurately than others, but it's never like totally incomprehensible or anything. It's just you can tell that maybe they had like the A team and the B team working in the subtitle department that day or something. So there are certain seasons of the show that are better than others in terms of subtitle quality, but thankfully picture quality, it's very sharp. And for me, this was like stuff that's tailor-made for me. Certainly not for everyone, but they did handle it largely with care. Each and every one of these boxes comes with the full television series in HD, but presented in 4:3 because of the era. Like this is 1960s, 1970s television from Japan. But each and every one of these comes with a production booklet that gives you a rundown of all the critters featured, all the kaiju featured from episode to episode, as well as episode breakdowns, which I'll tell you straight up, very, very useful for me when I walk away and I forget what episode I'm on, and having an episode description can sometimes help you find your place again. But yeah, I was really shocked that Mill Creek, of all people, would gobble up the Ultraman license and actually do a pretty solid job of putting out discs of this, by Western standards, somewhat obscure property.
Mm-hmm.
Any connection to Ultraman in the room other than me?
I saw an Ultraman movie, I think, when I was a kid, but that's all I got. So,
well, it never really had as much of a foothold in the States. Mm-hmm. I had the benefit of, like I said, having family from Hawaii, so I got a lot of Japanese exports thrown my way throughout my youth and whatnot. And on top of that, in the very early 90s, the Australian Ultraman television series, so like Tsuburaya Studios, the Japanese production company, actually like outsourced the property to an Australian company and shot it in English. And they actually played that on American television when I was a kid. So that was kind of my first introduction. And these days, in retrospect, kind of similar to my relationship with like superhero comic books. Like 90s comic books are often thought of as some of the worst superhero shit that ever happened, but it's what I was raised on, so it's what I'm accustomed to. It's the flavor I'm most familiar with, and same goes for like Ultraman, I guess, where the Australian, the often thought of as like one of the worst versions of the series ever. That was the first one I saw, so it's the one I was accustomed to. But very similar to Kamen Rider, Ultraman's actually kind of like a competing franchise. It persists to this day. In fact, I think they just announced a new television series like a few days ago. But these are all like the earliest iterations of it. So again, these are from like the 1960s through the early 70s, and it has a wonderful charm to it. It's like a Gamera movie from the 60s, but a weekly television series, and it's a really fun way to spend your afternoon. Honestly,
I didn't know it went that far back.
No.
Yeah. Eiji Tsuburaya was the special effects technician who worked on the original Gojira, and then he formed his own production company after working with Toho for several decades, and then made Ultraman, and the rest is history. But yeah, Mill Creek made something good, Brad. Imagine that.
Broken clock is right at least twice a day, right?
Well said. Okay, well, I think I'm about tapped out. So, folks, you want to proceed into the speed round? What all this is just like whatever you got laying around that you didn't have a chance to show off. Just like,
Okay.
just throw it up, say a little something about it. We won't do like a big long seminar about it, but just like run through whatever you got. Brian, you want me to go first, or are you set to go?
I'm set.
Okay, go for
either
it
way.
then.
Yeah. Okay, the aforementioned Arrow edition of RoboCop is awesome.
Sweet.
This is the Steelbook. That's the Blu-ray. It's not the 4K. Severin, the Changeling from 1980. It's a terrific edition, and it's got the soundtrack on CD.
Wow.
On CD in there too, and the movie is incredible.
That's George C. Scott.
George C. Scott, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is one of my favorite ghost stories ever. Fantastic movie. Night of the Creeps has both versions. It's got the theatrical and the director's cut, and they're both great. And they're not that different from each other, but except for the ending. But Night of the Creeps, I fucking love this movie.
Same here.
If you haven't seen Night of the Creeps, you got to see Night of the Creeps.
Absolutely.
Maybe one of the best editions of a movie that I've seen in a long time. Night of the Demon from Indicator. And this is a whole freaking massive list of all of the features that are on that edition. So it's got multiple transfers. It's got the American cut. It's got the British cut. There's another movie called Night of the Demon that's, the Bigfoot ripping off the guy's penis movie, but this is not that. This is from the 50s, directed by Jacques Tourneur, who also did Cat People and Leopard Man and some Val Lewton movies. DVD Near Dark.
Oh, I got that one too.
Yeah, this why this doesn't have a better edition on Blu-ray, God only knows, because this movie's incredible. I actually prefer it to The Lost Boys. Anyway. Then, okay, so I grabbed a couple of Criterions that I thought were cool because they had books with them. So one is Red River by Howard Hawks. It's got the novel that it was from. It has two cuts of the movie. It's got the preview cut and the theatrical cut. And all sorts of special features, as per usual with Criterion. Another is Vampire from 1932. This is the most batshit classic vampire movie you will ever see. And it's Carl Theodor Dreyer. So it's a wild movie. But it's got the shooting script in it. And, yeah, this is a terrific movie. I really love that one. And then lastly, these were sort of a holy grail for me. I was like, I really, really want to see these movies. They were on Criterion, went out of print, became really expensive. Vinegar Syndrome and Severin put them out separately. Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula. Yeah, so Flesh for Frankenstein has the 3D version in there. Severin always, or Vinegar Syndrome, you've got slipcovers inside there too. And 3D glasses.
Hey,
Flesh for Frankenstein. Nice. So if you don't have a 3D TV, you've got that version, but you also have the one that is the sort of the fakey 3D one, version if you need it. And there was a problem with the color on the original release. They sent you a new one in the mail, no questions asked. And you don't even have to destroy the old disc like you do with Criterion and Citizen.
Ayo.
And then Blood for Dracula, I haven't watched yet, to be honest. But Severin does great work. And, of course, these are both Udo Kier movies. Got a cool little mini poster in there. 3 discs. One of them is a CD of the soundtrack, as Severin is wont to do. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Spectacular.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, what you got?
Me?
Yeah.
All right, I got a couple of Criterion's too. First one of my favorite movies of all time, Princess
It's a great
Bride.
Edition. Wonderful
I
edition.
love what they did
Wow.
with this because it's a book. It's not like plastic. It looks and feels
got
like it's an
canvasy
actual
thing, yeah.
book. It's like, yeah. And so the booklet is actually attached to it because it's like a book. And the movie's all about, fairy tales and storytelling, so that's perfect. And then it says, "As you wish" on the back.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Oh,
it's
that's
perfect.
awesome.
I'm probably eventually going to get the whole, Godzilla collection because it's like a new love of mine. But Brian gave me this, and I had to show this off because I thought this was freaking adorable that they did this with the inside.
Oh.
Love it. Let's see. Two of my very, very prized possessions, I have to be careful because they're falling apart, are my Book of the Dead editions of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And they're like falling apart. It's like getting all dried out and nasty. But these are super cool. This used the eyeball. Used to be able to touch the eyeball and it would make a screaming sound on it. Love that. Another prized possession because it's so hard to come by now is the original 10 collection of the Friday the 13th.
I forgot to show the Scream Factory one.
Yeah, he's got that. I have the original one.
Very sexy.
Yeah. By the way, this is worth the price just for the gore cut stuff that they found, the gore effects stuff they found from part 2. I mean,
really?
Seriously, it's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's probably not worth the whole price for them, but you know what it is.
I also got
For me,
3D
that was
glasses.
Oh, for part 3?
For part 3.
Very
And
nice.
It also came with a little Camp Crystal Lake concealer patch.
Oh, awesome.
And, I don't know, like a wristband or something. Said, from, I don't know what that is. But to go along with that, I also had to grab I have the unrated version of Jason Goes to Hell, which is the better version of it. And then another couple of DVDs was the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only because the DVD that New Line put out is super cool on the inside. I already had it pulled out, so that it opens up.
Oh, wow.
And it's a chainsaw.
It's a chainsaw.
That's very clever, actually.
Opens up into a chainsaw, and then on the inside, it's got a little, it says it's an evidence. And it's got, pictures. It's they look like police evidence photos from it.
New Line used to put out such amazing DVDs.
Know.
Their sets were always so cool. Fight Club and Seven and Boogie Nights were all just these amazing sets.
The other one that I have that's kind of cool like that is Memento.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that was another one I had in mind, yeah.
So this kind of looks like a case file, which I thought was really cool. It's got watch. And it's just, I don't know, it looks like a psychiatrist or a police, a case file on what's his name, Leonard Shelby. So very cool stuff on that.
Very cool.
The other one I have, just because it's a lot of fun, one of my recent favorite anthologies is Tales of Halloween, and this was kind of a limited edition thing that they did, and it includes the movie, obviously, and then there's a bonus disc that has all these other extra short films from the directors that were involved. It's got commentaries, other bonus stuff, and then it also has the soundtrack CD. So this was very cool and just a good way to support the people who helped make this. So that's why I got this too. So that's what I have. Yeah.
Very cool.
That was it. Now my desk is a mess.
That's usually how these episodes go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's shit everywhere. I've only got 2 more here, but I'll mention I have I mentioned Kino just putting Criterion to shame. I've got the 4K of Silence of the Lambs. Looks great. I didn't buy the Criterion Blu-ray, so I upgraded from the MGM Blu-ray to this one. And this release just looks great. I mean, you can see Jodie Foster's cold sore clearer than ever in the famous Hannibal Lecter scene. So that's a great release. And this one, this isn't like actually that good of a release. I don't even know why I grabbed this, but let's give a little love to Paramount. Paramount Presents. They're trying to put on a fake boutique label with their Paramount Presents titles, and I've got a few of them. So I've got Trading Places here, and I do like these Paramount Presents releases because they got the clear cases inside, which is a nice little touch. You've got the slipcovers fold out into the poster there, which is kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah,
and they're numbered. So if you're like, OCD and you've got to collect them all, then you all of a sudden are in the whole hundreds of dollars. So, just a great tactic to get some more sales by Paramount.
It's like those Vestron releases.
Oh, trust me, I've got them all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Brad does have all the Vestron releases. I poke
I
him about
only have
from time
like
to time.
3 of them. That's why I don't keep mine together, because if they're separated, I don't know that they're not complete. So
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. I wish I had thought of that. I wish I'd done that.
Smart.
It's too late now.
I've got Waxworks, Shivers, Maximum Overdrive, which rules.
too.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that movie rules.
It does.
As bad as it is, it rules. And what else? Oh, I've got Return of the Living Dead 3.
Oh,
I have the same ones.
oh, very cool.
There you go.
Except for Waxwork. I don't have Waxwork yet.
Yeah, it's Waxworks and Waxworks 2.
Yeah, I want to get that.
So it's a cool set, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Waxworks 2, but the first one was a
It's
lot of
kinda
fun. It's
yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has that bizarre wrap up where it just turns into the pie fight basically, or it's just
Sure.
like whatever. It's an ending. Shut up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like- okay. Well, what do I got here? Okay. So I did not pull there's a lot of things that I wish I had pulled down, but I've shared them on previous episodes of the program, so I didn't want to make it redundant to the 5 people who care. Anyway, I'm just going to breeze through these here. So I have here something that is completely basically rendered irrelevant by today's standards, but it's a RoboCop DVD set from MGM, and it has the novelty factor of folding out into a RoboCop. So you had your chainsaw, but I have a RoboCop. So it unfolds into a RoboCop. And really, the only reason I wanted to highlight this one is just for personal reasons, and that's because I was really kind of obsessed with RoboCop when I got this, when I was in my early teens, and it just so happened that this was, somewhat early days in terms of internet film discussion and whatnot, and I caught wind of the fact that, you mean there's a slightly more violent version of RoboCop that I haven't seen? So I did my due diligence, and I had to track this stuff down because it wasn't readily available information. You had to hunt for it. So I tracked down a DVD of the movie that has that cut of the film. And the only other way to get the now standard version of the movie, because as far as I know, that's just how the movie exists on every format these days.
Arrow has both versions on their release.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's a common feature these days. But when I bought that, it wasn't. And the only way to get it was the Criterion disc.
Criterion one, yep.
Or this box set. There was no you couldn't just buy the individual RoboCop 1 outside of the Criterion edition. So me going out and buying that box set was me going out and spending a lot of money so I could see 3 seconds of extra violence. But it was worth it to me at the time. It still kind of is. It was a fun little adventure in early collecting of movies for me. But I have here a Japanese DVD, Region 2. I'm sorry about all the DVDs, Brad. No. This is another Kamen Rider property, but this is from when I was in college. This was the version of the show, the iteration of the show that was contemporary to when I was in college. This is Kamen Rider Kabuto, and it's Godspeed Love in a wonderful Japanese titling. I love that. Like you can't have a title long enough by Japanese standards. But inside you have a dog tag and some like certificates in here as well as some like merchandise flyers and whatnot. But it's presented well on DVD, and it's also a extended cut of the movie, which is a welcome feature. But the dog tag was a nice little trinket that I didn't expect to be in there. I appreciate it. And then I have, speaking of Michele's Godzilla, I have not the Criterion edition, but was it Classic Media, their DVD box of Gojira. And this was, I think, the first time this was released in the West on DVD. And then similarly, I also have a trio of other Classic Media DVDs of Godzilla films from the Showa era. This one's my absolute favorite, Terror of Mechagodzilla. And what's more, this was the first time the Japanese cut of the movie in the original Japanese language was again released in the West. So for me, I was raised on the Godzilla, very similarly to how I was raised on the Ultraman, even more so with Godzilla, though. I watched this movie on repeat. My poor mother had to watch this like for the first half of my life, basically on repeat, and like as well as my older brother. So she's probably seen this twice as much as both of us. But yeah, this was my first opportunity to actually see the original Japanese version of the film, and also the correct aspect ratio,
right?
Which was really weird to me, seeing for the first time as an adult. Also, I have a movie I don't even like. I think a roommate just left this in my apartment at some point. I don't even like this movie, but it was a really big fucking deal. Like my first year of college, this was, I think, the first movie I ever saw pirated before, like through the internet. Like I had owned tons of bootleg discs over the years, but this was the first time someone used the internet to bring a feature-length film into their home and then show it to me on their computer before. It was my like across-the-hall roommate in college. But anyway, this is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. I don't like this movie at all. I think it's garbage. On an aesthetic level, on a technological level, pretty incredible for the standards of the time. But this box set is beat to shit. I didn't own it, so I can't be held responsible for its condition. But it also included like a bunch of these like picture type photo things, kind of similar to the Crimson Peak situation. And then there's also discs as well. And it's kind of funny actually, because similar to the RoboCop situation, as fancy as this fucking box is, this version of the movie is now defunct because there's like an extended version that was released several years after the fact or something. So it's like, cool, I have a big box on my shelf. Right. Oh well, I didn't pay for it. It's like, and it looks nice, kind of. But yeah, I guess that's all of mine. Anyway, great job, everyone. This was a fantastic episode. I had a lot of fun.
Good.
No, but like, thanks all around. Like, thanks, Brad, for always helping me out from month to month. I really appreciate having a buddy to carry out this project with. Because, like I said, this is not easy to do, talking into a mic by yourself. So thanks again, bud. I really appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
Yeah. And Brian, Michele, thanks again for showing up. Like I really appreciate having a chance to chat with both of you. I really am a fan of your project, like of your podcast. So it was really thrilling to me to have an opportunity to actually get to know you a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. And yeah, I've been listening to some catching up on cinema and really enjoying the show as well. So thanks for inviting us to come on. It's really great to be able to jump in with some other people who kind of do some of the same kinds of things we do, so
yeah, no, I think of this particular aspect of our show as like a nice platform to like justify having a movie collection. Like for me, it's like every once in a while, you're like, oh man, I have a lot of fucking movies. like I don't know if this is good for me, man. But then it's nice to have an outlet to like express some of the passion somewhere. So
totally.
So hopefully you guys had fun doing that. But before we go though, let's go around the horn. Like, let's let the folks at home know where we can find everybody. So, Brian, Michele, you want to let us know where you can find you and your podcast?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brian D. Kuiper. And my writing sort of lives there too. I write for Bloody Disgusting and Manor Vellum are the two main places I write for regularly. So that stuff is there if you're interested in horror writing, and is most of what I do right now, though we'll see. Looking to branch out and do more. Go ahead, Michele, and then we can do the show.
I'm at Michele in Egan on Twitter. I'm mostly talking about JCVD sometimes.
That's right. I've only seen one of his movies so far.
Which one?
Bloodsport.
I mean, that's a good place to start for sure.
Yeah, and that was Michelle's suggestion last year. So,
yeah. Yep. But you got a lot of homework though.
I do.
You
I do.
Catch up on
I got to watch Hard Target. That's
yeah, you do.
Target.
Yeah. So anyway, our show you can also find on Twitter at Movie Life Pod, and you can find the Movies for Life podcast on Apple and Spotify and wherever else.
Very nice.
Please listen to us. We're fun.
we swear we're fun.
We're cool.
We're fun. We're cool people.
Okay, Brad. Give us your plugs. Where can we find you and your awesome podcast?
Yeah, so mine's the Cinema Speak podcast. Same thing on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find your shows. I'm on Twitter at the Cinema Speak, on Instagram, Cinema Speak Podcast, on YouTube as Cinema Speak, and you can just find me on the web at cinemaspeak.libsyn.com.
Yeah, always glad to hear it, Brad. You got any YouTube projects in the works at the moment?
I got a few kicking around in my brain. It's just actually getting set and filming them that is the hard part.
Yeah, actually committing and pulling the trigger is always the hard part. But I'm looking forward to whatever you put out whenever you put it out. But anyway, folks at home, if you'd like to catch up on any of our Catching Up on Cinema content, you can find all of that collected on our website at catchinguponcinema.com. You can also find me on the social medias, on the Instagram at Catching Up on Cinema, as well as the Twitter at Catching Cinema. So feel free to hit me up at either of those. And the podcast is available on pretty much every platform you can imagine, including Cephalopod. So fucking Google it. And that being said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for my lovely guests for showing up today and showing up for a great discussion. And we'll catch you next time.